hang in there. Hang in there. I'm getting the stream started. Okay. All right. Hey. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to do a little bit of a live element to this because there's some things that we kind of missed throughout the stream that I kind of want to bring to the forefront before we get started. One thing is, if you like what you see, leave a like and subscribe. This episode is going to be a little bit of a longer one. It's about 2 hours and I want to say 2 hours and 50 minutes, I think. So I know you might not be able to catch everything. However, if you do happen to watch the whole stream, leave a comment if we've missed anything, and we may cover it in a follow-up episode. We're going to be doing this from now on, this kind of format, and I explained a little bit more in the episode, but you're going to want to leave a comment in, let's say, YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, Periscope, or Twitch. And when you do, we'll be able to do a lot more. Yes, Thomas, this is live for now until I start the episode up. And once the episode starts, I'll be with you in the chat the entire time to kind of answer the hilarities that kind of ensue and some of the deeper points that actually come out of this episode. But yes, please get used to leaving comments in the episodes wherever you may be watching, except for obviously Instagram because it's a useless piece of crap that I have to keep restarting after every hour. So, with that in mind, I have a few announcements before I actually start the pre-recorded episode. Aside from liking and subscribing and leaving comments, they're going to be very important in the streams to come. So it's the last week to the giveaway, our We Are Squawking Dead, the Road to Thousands giveaway. So please, if you have not entered the giveaway so far, please actually do that now, or do that as soon as the stream ends. At squawkingdead.com. If you're having trouble, some people have had trouble actually entering the giveaway through the website. If you cannot do that, if you have trouble, DM me. You can actually DM me via Facebook and Twitter through the website, squawkingdead.com. In the lower right-hand corner, there's a little widget that you can use to DM me via Twitter or Facebook, and I should be able to communicate with you. Other than that, you know how to get me via Instagram all the time, so you know I'm always there for you. So, moving along, Camp Merrimack Fall Bash. I mentioned this in the podcast, but I have not been mentioning it in the last several podcasts, and I should have been. Camp Merrimack Fall Bash takes place the Thursday before Walker Stalker Atlanta. As soon as... So basically, I'm going to be there, Meg's going to be there, Rachel's going to be there, and I think Carol might be there, but I'm not sure. At the same time, I want you guys to take a look at that. They support two charities, the I-58 mission, which offers food pantry services along with clothing and household goods for the less than fortunate in the Sonoy area. And it supports Project Patriot. It's actually a charity that Hillary Burton, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wife, kind of championed. It basically supports the community surrounding the Sterling Park, Virginia community, and provides resources for their schools' extracurricular activities and after-school programs. That was a very tongue-twister statement. Yes, please head out to the Camp Merrimack Fall Bash the Thursday before Walker Stalker Atlanta. So it supports those two charities, and it features guests like Kari Payton, Cooper Andrews, Pollyanna McIntosh, Sabrina Generino, Peter Louise Zimmerman, Karen Cisse, Jeremy Palco, and Marisol Correa, and I think a couple more. So take a minute to do that. Take a minute to check that out. If you are going to Walker Stalker, I would encourage you to go to to Camp Merrimack's Fall Bash. More information at campmerrimack.com, where you can buy either a VIP all-inclusive ticket or a GA ticket. Either way, it's at Jacob's Table in Sonoy, Georgia, the night before. And check it out. You know you're going to like it. So, without further ado, there's other announcements that I announced in the actual recorded episode. So, with that in mind, I submit to you episode 69, covering the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, and I will see you in the chat. are Squawking Dead, and welcome to a pre-recorded version of our normal broadcast. And I have to tell you, we have not gone not live in over a year. From episode 24, when we first started going live, we've done live broadcasts of our show, and it's kind of weird to not have an audience nervous, monitoring the chat, making sure everything's in place, looking at all these monitors. Now all I have to do is look at notes and kind of make sure Rachel's still there. Just in the screen. Here. So it's great, but I do feel like I'm talking to you guys when I'm doing this. It has been a while, but what's good about doing a pre-record is that I can focus on Rachel more. I can focus on my notes. I can cut out things. I don't have to worry about flipping back and forth and making sure this conversation is still going, and you know what I mean? Which happens. I mean, and you saved me a lot, Rachel. Carol saves me a lot. So it's great to not have that monkey on my back. So, but I mean, in the future, we're planning on doing a lot in relation to this. So a lot of our live broadcasts are going to be, the nature of our live broadcasts are going to be a lot more different. And it's going to be way better, in my opinion, and we're not going to get into this a little bit more until The Walking Dead Season 10 starts, because we have to pre-record this episode because of time. Rosh Hashanah starts Sunday night and Monday night, so I'm going to be out those nights. So we have to pre-record this evening, and then this evening being Saturday night, as we just finished watching the episode last night, took notes today. So what we're doing now is pre-recording it to be premiered on Monday. At some point, we have to figure out the exact time. I'm basically trying to tailor, now that we have it pre-recorded, we can tailor it to specific audiences. So let's say we want to premiere it at 5 o'clock. It's just enough time at 10 o'clock in London, let's say, which we are starting to amass an interesting following of really cool people. And 5 o'clock is about time when work is over. And sometimes, I know a lot of people, I don't know about you, Rachel, but a lot of people I know don't finish work exactly at 5.
Yeah, no.
So, and what's good about that is they can start it up on their drive home if they do, and continue listening to the live broadcast on the way home or something like that. So it'll be good to test out how that works as we go. And I think our future shows are going to be like that. However, we're going to be including an option, a monthly option for people to kind of chip in, keep the lights on, keep us moving and going. It's kind of like a way of putting their money where their mouths, their money where our broadcast
our mouths
is.
Are, right?
Mouths are, yeah. Put the money in the mouth, and the show comes out. So, but
people probably don't realize how much it takes, to keep it going. You don't shed a whole lot of light on what it is you do.
I don't. It costs hundreds of dollars actually a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally even dropped. I can tell you right now, I dropped over $470 just to get some of the swag that we're going to have for New York Comic Con. We have a panel this Thursday.
Oh, it is this Thursday.
October 3rd.
Came fast.
Yes. Our panel is a TWD panel featuring Jeremy Palco, who plays Andy from the Hilltop, who passed away, talking about Morgan, with Morgan as he was revisiting the satellite station and liberating it. And then we have James Chen, who played Cal from Hilltop. Okay. He has that line, you stole somebody's sorghum pancakes to Xander Berkeley. He goes, I didn't steal no pancakes. Anyway. So we kind of he's going to be in the new season, so I kind of want to know, I don't know if he's going to be in the new season. I just know that he's going to be back. I know he's confirmed that somewhere. And then we have Oscar's Red Hat, so that's Oscar Rodriguez, very good artist in the style of the comics mostly, but he adapts it, makes it his own. And he was a whisperer in season 9 of The Walking Dead. And so what's going to be good about that is finding out how he got into The Walking Dead and then how he even got on the show. And I kind of know the story, but I want to know a little bit more from his perspective, from his voice, how he put it. And how it was.
I definitely want to know.
Yeah, right? And last but not least, we got Frankie, quote unquote, the character Frankie, Elise Dufour, who was one of Negan's wives, who ended up on the pike, unfortunately. And I think what's good about having her on is that we're going to get a little bit more of the backstory, I think, with her character motivations, because each character, at the beginning of the season gets like a little bit of a blurb. They get to talk to showrunners to find out what their motivations are, and what kind of approach they're going to be taking to whatever little lines I guess they get. It's always going to be too little when it comes to lines and dialogue.
Yeah. But you still want it to be convincing, so you need that backstory, that motivation. Why are you there? Why are you saying it?
Yeah, they always get a little bit more that we're never going to be privy to. Like, and they can only do so much. I'm realizing, like, as I watch The Walking Dead and especially Fear the Walking Dead, because there are some things I notice across those seasons, like at least season 4 and season 5, that like could have been punched up a little bit more, could have had a little bit more like impactful lines. Like I even noticed it in season 9. There are some moments that could have been drawn out a little bit more, but obviously for time, there's only so much you can do.
No.
But it's going to be great to have her be able to tell us what like the background that we weren't getting fully, and the significance it was to have her on this pike. So all 4 of those, room 1824, come see us. Come find me.
Come find me.
And that's going to be BMNY Deadcast Chris, one of our hosts, and the showrunner for BMNY Deadcast. We got Meg the Geek, who is a human who hosts along with us. A human geek.
A human.
She just had a build 'em up series with. She just did the Lego build 'em up series with like the Friends.
The Friends set, yeah.
The Central Perk set.
Yep. Awesome.
That was kind of fun to watch. It's always fun to watch Meg do her thing too. She's just as goofy on her own platform as she is with us, and it's kind of great to see both sides of that, you know. But it's also kind of like, do you remember how we were just talking as we were recording, like how like the difference between being alone and having somebody there to help you host and stuff like that, and it's definitely present when you see her doing her videos, because she's there alone, she's writing her own script, there's no feedback, so and they're all professionally done. She does a really great job.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she admits her foibles when the batteries run out, and she goes, well, I can't do anything about that. And she's trying to talk to the audience that's not there. It's just great though. It's just she has a great personality, and so I will put the link in the episode notes and the description for that build 'em up series, for that build 'em up part of that build 'em up series.
Yeah.
It's cute. And me, I'll be there too. I ordered a whole bunch of things that I ordered magnets. Actually, like the square magnets with the Squawking Dead and the website, and a little blurb on it too, like a podcast pulverizing episodes of AMC's The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. So I mean, if they come in on time, I'm hoping they do. They'll probably get there on Thursday. But then I'll be bringing them with. If not, well, sorry. I have at least I have business cards, about 1,000 business cards between New York Comic Con and Walker Stalker Atlanta. We will be there. And who's going to be there? In case you did not miss it, yes, Rachael's going to be joining us. And if you did miss it, we released the graphic of her coming along with us. It's a Squawking Dead table. It's going to be with Rachael, me, OG, Squawking D, Carol G, and Meg the Geek.
And Meg the Human.
Meg the Human Geek.
Meg the Human Geek.
It's like a trapeze artist. It's like, and in this corner, Meg the Human Geek.
It does, yeah. Yeah, there's a certain
it's like a mutant name. Like what is, like she strikes a pose. Whoa, but speaking of pose, she just got a haircut.
Yeah,
it looks really cool.
Oh my gosh, it really does.
It really does suit
really,
her.
Really, really cool. I love the color she picked too. Yeah. Yeah,
between the color and the style too, the little flip right at the end.
Oh yeah, but the stylist did that.
Yeah, she's like, I trust you. She's like, yeah. And she's like pleasantly surprised. I hope we don't know what happened behind the scenes for that pic that she posted.
No, I think she's really happy with it. Yeah, she doesn't. I haven't heard her complaining about it or anything. But
after the cry,
when you go to your hairstylist and they do you all up, and you're never gonna look like that again, because you go home and you try to replicate it, and you're like, fucking curling iron. At least those are the stories I hear.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, man, that's so funny. I'm going to try to get more news on that Haunt for Dead October thing, but I mean, it doesn't look like I'll be going.
Oh, no?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's after Walker Stalker, right?
Yeah, that's the week after Walker Stalker. It was supposed to be in West Virginia, but I heard tell that they're going to move it down to Georgia.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I just can't do it. It would be I mean, another trip out, more hotels. Yeah, it wouldn't be something I'd be able to do. So, no. I mean, after all, my monthly mac and cheese club meeting is in that weekend. So why would I sacrifice that?
Right?
Yeah.
Are you going to make it to Camp Merrimack?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going to be there at Camp Merrimack. You know, I'm surprised that I didn't mention it like when we were talking about our house cleaning. I'll
be there too.
Yeah, so Camp Merrimack is that Thursday night, the same week of Walker Stalker. We had a tremendous amount of announcements over the last week, actually, week and a half. They announced Jerry, Smug Orange, which is Cooper Andrews is going to be there. Sabrina Generino, Jeremy Palco, and then last but not least, and there's more, obviously. If you go to campmerrimack.com, they should have the graphic with all of them in it. And last but not least, Kari Payton was just dropped, I think, Thursday night.
Yep.
Thursday evening. Thursday at 6 o'clock.
I just saw that, too, yeah.
I think, was that Friday? Or no, it's Thursday, right?
It was late. Yeah, it was late. Yeah. I think it was Thursday I saw it.
Yeah, so that happened.
I'm super excited. I'm going to be at Camp Merrimack, too.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be great. So it's going to be me, you. I think Meg's going to be there. I'm pretty sure. She was like...
Oh, she'll definitely be there. She's my ride.
Mine too. Come find me.
Come find me.
I should really see if I can get picked up or something. Because I drove down last time. That's how I was able to get around. But I kind of just left my car in Sonoy. Really.
Okay.
That's so weird that there was no metered parking or anything like that. You know, and I just left it there. I actually left it there, and we took an Uber back to the hotel, where I was staying with Chris. But yeah, and then we just went back, and then it was just there, sitting there the whole weekend, which is weird. I mean, it's like coming from New York. You just can't do that. You usually can't leave your car anywhere. You know, it was just a strange thing to do. But yeah, I could hypothetically drive around anywhere I wanted to, but now it's just it's different. It's different. And Sonoy is kind of out there. I don't know what bus you'd have to take if you really had to. You know?
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, remind me to bring up Camp Merrimack the next show around. Just like you have to remind me to record. Which am I? Yes. I'm just kidding.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So remind me because I'll make a little list that I can read off of all the guests because there are more. They're like Marisol Correa.
I haven't even seen the full list. I have no idea. Yeah.
There's a bunch. There's a bunch of people from the show that will be showing up too. It's a surprising amount. I mean, I feel Pollyanna McIntosh too. She's gonna be there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was one of the first bigger names that was slated to come on. So.
And those are 3 people that I didn't get the chance to meet in Chicago. So hopefully I can remedy that.
This is gonna be a real treat for you. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect.
Kari Payton, I'm in.
I did meet Kari. No, I did meet Kari. Sorry, I have pictures with him, but not Cooper or Pollyanna.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's gonna be a treat. I mean, it's gonna be way more intimate, which is it's just. I'm just I don't know.
Nicer.
Now I really don't know what to expect. It's one thing if as Pollyanna's here, okay. Sabrina Generino's here. That's cool. Marisol is really, really warm. She's really great to talk to. Jason's gonna be there. Jason Kirkpatrick, who I'm looking very forward to seeing again. Who awesome dude. You will love that guy. He's off the chain. He's really friendly, awesome. You know. There are some people that you meet that you that are I'm not gonna say inspiring, but they just don't care. They don't care what other people think of them. Yeah. They just do what they want. That's him.
They're very laid back. They remind you that they're just people.
Yeah, they're just.
I mean, yes,
people.
They're celebrities, but they're people. You know, they have conversations just like we do.
Yeah, well, he's one of those people that just wants to hang out and like
That's
be
cool.
genuinely hanging out and talking. And if he doesn't want to talk to you, he'll go, okay, bye. No, not rude, but like he'll just be like,
yeah, I'm gonna. What was that? Yeah.
I think I'm being called over here. Like, not
That's how
really, but I just want to go now. Like, no, I'm kidding.
That's how I felt meeting Alana Masterson too. She has that kind of personality, super laid back. I mean, literally, I met her and 3 seconds later felt like, we were friends. Just very comfortable to talk to. I remembered my words, unlike when I met Ryan Hurst.
Where you're like,
yeah, and I'm like, words.
Words.
Yeah.
What's
It was
like
bad.
through yonder window break, Ryan Hurst?
I don't remember saying anything in front of him. I probably was just oh boy. Yeah, that was probably embarrassing. If I remembered it, it would probably be very embarrassing.
I bet you it was really endearing. I mean, because you saw him 3 times. It had to have, like, equalized, right? you
would
had to have got...
You would think so. Like, you would think, like, each day would get better and better, but no. Like, and the lines weren't even super long. So, like, it's, I wasn't, like, working myself up or anything. Like, you'd get in there, and, like, 5 minutes later, there you are. And I'm just was like...
And did you have general or VIP or some kind?
General. I just had general, yeah.
See, that's interesting to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which actually brings me to some interesting news because just on Friday, Walker Stalker, aka FanFest, for those who don't know by now, they actually sent out an email to all of us, just informing us, like, I mean, the subject of the email is like, this is the end, like practically.
Oh, jeez.
But did you get this email? I just want to make sure.
Possibly. I get like 15 emails a day.
I don't read emails anymore.
Yeah, I really don't.
So it was actually, I saved, did I save it? Oh, whatever. If I didn't, whatever. But the summary of the email is basically as follows, like, thank you for attending all the Walker Stalkers that we got to this point where we were able to give you Walker Stalker beyond Atlanta. So, you're talking about New Jersey, Nashville, London, Chicago. I mean, Australia in 2 cities.
Right.
But I mean, we were ambitious, and I think that was the beginning of the end. And I mean, that's not really. I'm pretty much paraphrasing like the things that I've been saying online and in our broadcasts. But like we bit off more than we could chew, essentially, and we're here to announce that we will be doing Walker Stalker only in Atlanta and under the FanFest banner, I think, starting 2020, I think, or 2021, I believe. And it's going to be more of a multi-fandom thing. Like, you can already tell it's kind of like this Walker Stalker Atlanta is kind of like that. I think they're trying that out because you have the X-Files actors, you have the Lost actors, Scream, Sons of Anarchy.
Who from Lost is going to be there?
Oh, the guy that played Faraday. There are quite a few actors from like 5, I think, actors from Lost that are going to be there. Not the bigger names. I know what you're thinking, but
do you though? Do you though? I don't.
Are you thinking like what, like Dominic Monaghan or something? Or
yeah.
I see.
You think that's a big name?
That's a big name to me.
You think so?
Yeah, he's Lord of the Rings. I mean,
yeah, but such a minor role.
But for some reason, very iconic.
I mean,
not Penny's boat.
I get it. I mean,
not
I get
Penny's
it.
boat. So, like I said, they're moving in that direction, and I think they're gonna keep going. I mean, like they said, this is the end, but like, I mean, really, they're multi-city Walker Stalkers were like, it was only a couple years, I think. And they kept adding more shows throughout the years, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's ambitious. Like they really harnessed the power of The Walking Dead and like had on the populace, and then ever since then, it just started declining, and it just kind of, I mean, at least with popular audiences. So, and I think that's kind of like, you have to kind of roll with the punches and the tide, and not keep adding more shows without knowing your audience. So,
well, it sounds like a smart decision. They realized it wasn't working. We need to cut our losses and do something different and get back on track for the fans.
Yeah, so, scale back.
When I met Chandler Riggs, there was literally no one in his line.
Right.
No one. I walked right up to him.
He's going to be there too, by the way.
Is he? Well, I hope his line's a lot longer this time.
Yeah, Angel Theory's going to be there too.
Oh my gosh.
But she's still talking shit about Walker Stalker, though.
But, I mean, that says a lot that she's fulfilling a commitment. You know what I mean? Even though she has an opinion about it, she signed up for something and she's going to see it through. So I find that respectable, at least, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so let's dig into this episode.
Yeah.
Like,
so we watched
42
the show
minutes
today.
later. Yeah, I give it to you to give me your impressions. Like, what do you think of this one? Because, yeah.
This
first
episode to me felt a lot like the last episode of season 6. This was, you know, an oh shit moment where, I mean, we're ending a season going, holy shit, you know, and we have no idea what's coming next. I mean, this is a huge cliffhanger. So, yeah, I didn't expect that, though. So to actually have that cliffhanger at the end was like, I don't know. My initial reaction, of course, was like, really? Come on! And then I'm like, all right, okay, I see you, AMC. I see what's going on here. I see what's going on.
And you said AMC. Like, there's like a bigger kind of picture thing going on here. I'm wondering myself, too. Like, I mean, my impression of this episode is kind of like, I mean, it was a lot. It's a longer episode. It's, I think it's at least 10 extra minutes.
Oh, okay.
Which allowed us to get that wedding that everybody so wanted. This is something we talked about last week. Like, all right, if it's a little longer, we have more little time for the wedding, and then we can move on. And that's literally what happened. That's literally how it went down, and then we can move on.
Yep. Yeah. And they did. Yep. Oh, I love that scene too. I think they did it perfectly. They put the wedding in just the right spot. They kissed, and then June grabbed her gun.
Annie, get your gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. I mean, I'm trying to put like a stamp on this episode, and it's really, really difficult because there's so many moments where it felt like they were building up to something, and then it just got taken away from them. And every single, I wouldn't say there were bad decisions, right? So the initial the initial decision of calling, I was going to say Annie, calling Virginia, Annie Oakley, calling Virginia, the initial decision it's not necessarily a bad decision. I mean, it's the one that they had decided to do the episode before, and they didn't know any better. But as the episode kind of unfolds, like, they start realizing, well, why are we giving up on this? And then they figure out ways to kind of, you know, safeguard the place by having walkers surrounded technically, and you know, this way Virginia doesn't mess with them, and then they lose that, and Virginia's still on her way. It's just, and then like with every single decision they make, it's kind of like, you know what, they build up to a point, and then it's like they realize they keep swerving this way and that way, and then they kind of lose. It's like having everything building up everything just to have it disappear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just slip through your fingers.
That's why I was so upset last episode when Morgan did call Virginia for help. Like, they just saw the place overrun with walkers, and he's like, "Oh, well, we need help." Like, you didn't even, dude, like, take a minute, like, assess the situation like you've always done, and you'll realize that there's a way out of this, which is what they ended up doing. I mean, they did clear out the walkers. They did, you know, do all this stuff that they could have done without Virginia's help. And now here she is. I still don't think it was a bad decision. I just think they jumped the gun.
And then it was everybody's decision too.
Oh yeah. But
you know?
Yeah. And it wasn't, things didn't happen the way they did because of bad decision making. It was just, they were forced into a corner, and this was the only way out. And like Morgan said, you know, saving all these people would be for absolutely nothing if it led us to this point and got them killed.
You know, yeah.
So this is the way to keep them alive.
That's very interesting that you say that, because when it was at the beginning, when they didn't have all those people in tow, they could do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start adding more people in tow, the stakes get way, way, way higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
people who maybe can't defend themselves as well as, you know, our main group can either. So
maybe not. I feel like the stamp.
We don't really know.
Yeah. I think the stamp of this episode is really like, and I feel like it repeats itself throughout the episode, at least in two places. One is overall with all the people, and then at the end with Morgan. is that it should be like etched on their tombstone. They should have trusted themselves some more.
Yeah.
Because like really, like the impossible is possible. Like I think that was their downfall. I'm starting to feel like that was their downfall, because I was trying to tie in all these things. Like, why did this happen? You know, why did everything they try to do, like, not do? Why did it all kind of crumble away? Why did it slip through their fingers where every other time throughout the season it didn't? Like, they were able to master themselves out of a situation. You know, as long as they kept pushing and trying and trying and trying, they would succeed. It wasn't luck. I mean, it looks like luck, but it's just them not quitting. And like here, the second they reach this impasse, the second they have all these people in tow, they just stop trusting themselves. And that's, I think, what let this all slip through their fingers. I mean, that's boastful, but
makes sense though.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell, like, it's very deflating to kind of get to this point and have this happen. It's like watching. I mean, it is a lot like watching the end of season 6 and the opening for season 701, even down to the scene. I saw somebody actually put up an image of Negan with the bat kind of going down the barrel of the camera, and Ginny with the barrel of the gun pointing at Morgan's head.
Yeah,
and it was like eerily accurate.
Yeah.
You know?
That was the first thing I thought at the end of the episode. When the episode was over, I had the same feeling that I did in the last episode of season 6.
Yeah. It's
like, oh shit.
Can I tell you though, I'm still trying to process this episode. I'm not upset, really. There's a lot of I'm not saying like I'm upset emotionally, like I'm upset because of what happens, but I'm kind of coming around to the events of this episode, because it's one thing, like, there's a level which I'm trying to be as though I was there, right? I'm like trying to experience, like, live vicariously through our convoy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like rooting for Ginny, you know, like I'm there with our protagonist, right? But on the other hand, like, I'm also kind of like trying to see it from Ginny's point of view, you know. However, because like we learn that
though.
No. I mean, obviously, but like you try to kind of. The best way to kind of understand your enemy is to kind of see their motivations, right? Why do they do what they do? You know, from their point, it's like we learned from the saviors. Like, what, they are not evil. You know what I mean? Like, in a way they are, but you know, it's like Negan said. It's like, you know, you always think you're not the bad guy until, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. The bad guy never thinks they're the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, just like when I tagged you in the other day too, you know, if we were watching anybody else's story, our group would be the enemy, you know.
Right.
And that's exactly it. You know, our hero is who we start the show with, who we're following because we know their story.
Right.
But we don't know anything about Ginny.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, we know she is helping people, but through extreme methods. But that doesn't clarify anything.
No, it doesn't.
So we still don't know what her motivations are.
Not at all. I mean, we do get a little bit of insight into Ginny, like via certain interactions and via like this Humbug's Gulch settlement too.
Oh yeah.
You know, when we see the
history there.
Yeah, I mean, you see like remnants and history of these people, these walkers who happen to be wearing her soldiers' gear. Let's call them soldiers, with the keys and stuff like that. And you could tell there was like a little skirmish or something between them, or an extermination maybe. We don't know. Like maybe they shot a couple and waited for them to reanimate, and then. But I mean, all we know is that there were some of her soldiers there that didn't make it, and which may imply that these people had a last stand.
Kind of says a little bit about how she feels about her own people too. Although, I mean, we don't really know the timeline. We don't know details, but someone had to come back and lock them all in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And at that time, her soldiers, you know, her people were in there. Now they may have already been dead, and so they just, you know. What are you going to do now? But who knows? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
somebody was there after the fact.
When I first watched the episode, I was actually thinking that, I mean, and this made sense to me, and it may still make sense, but I don't know now after watching the second time, that like maybe some of her own soldiers like became turncoats and like fought back against Ginny.
Sure.
So that's what I was thinking, because that makes more sense for the character, because to do that, and maybe it was after that settlement, because she says, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like that you're there.
Yeah.
Like that was the place that changed my ethos, right? Like, shoot the dead weight and then keep the strong,
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, okay, why would she say that? Like, of all places, you're there and finding the dead soldiers. And then like, I keep thinking maybe that's where, maybe they were so inspired by the person who ran that place that they decided, hey, Ginny, let's not upturn the apple cart here, you know? And she decided, no, fuck you guys. Boom, boom, boom. You guys could be a soldier walkers or something. And then just, and then just she locks them in.
Send them in there. Yeah. Send them in there, infect it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And just turn them loose.
I could see her doing that.
It does say to me that something happened there that made her change as a person, or maybe decide that she needed to be more of a strong arm tactic person, which explains a lot about why she and I knew she wasn't going to let Morgan get away with it. Like away with like strong arming her tactically, or like negotiating on the negotiating table. Like you could tell she did not want to comply with Morgan's demands for everybody to be safe, no matter where they are. I just knew.
How was he going to guarantee that, though? I mean, he agreed to have everybody go with her, but he knew they were going to all be separated. So he's just going to take her at her word that she wouldn't kill anybody? I wouldn't believe her.
That's a really good point, but I think it's the only way of it making sense. Like if they started killing people, and she may still, but like if they start seeing that they're killing people, that's 41 people that will be, no matter where they are, like only 5 places. So what is that? 8 people per place. So, if any one of them sees that any one of them are harmed, that's 8 people, 8 nuisances per place. That's 8 people that they have to kill at each place out of, and that's, what is 40 people into 871? That's about 5%, I think.
You silly doing math.
80 is 10%. Yeah, that's 5% of their newfound population. Ooh, it could be more because I'm not adding 270 and 40. Yeah. 271 and 40. It's 900. That's 900 and 951. That's 951 people total. So, well, minus Morgan. It's an even 950. Isn't that weird how that worked out?
Yeah.
Maybe she's like really like obsessive compulsive and just needs to cut the round corners. It was nothing personal.
Can't have one extra.
And yet it is personal because of what she says at the end. But we'll get to that. But I just find that you find out so much more about her just through subtle things, just subtle bits.
Yeah. She tried, but she didn't try very hard to keep everybody out of there too. And Morgan's like, we need help clearing this place, and she's like, no, just keep moving. It's not going to work. Right. Don't stay there. Just keep going. But that was really all the effort she put in.
Yeah, she said it's like too far gone.
Yeah,
she said. Yeah.
Yeah, like she didn't want them to go in there. But
yeah. I mean, she was trying to coax her. Which, by the way, a lot of the interaction was kind of told us a little bit more about what we were talking about last week. We had assumed, or we had theorized that let's let this little sheriff walk up to their camp and lead them to Humbug's Gulch. That was not the case.
No.
I think we could have helped them in the writer's room with that one.
Yeah.
But I do still think she was trying to, at some juncture, maybe she did sabotage the bridge.
I still think that's think that's on the table for sure.
Yeah, maybe after her showdown with those people at Humbug's Gulch, she decided to kind of clear out the walkways or the roads leading into that place. So maybe that's what she was trying to do, and that's what ended up happening. Yeah. So we were wrong about that, but that's fine. It was fun to theorize.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see more cowboy walkers.
A little bit, yeah.
I was trying to pay attention.
But those were all like people, like they were living there. They weren't actors.
That's true. That's a good point. But I mean, like they'd probably be wearing their costumes, I guess, is maybe it's not that comfortable.
Well, yeah, because those were the clothes that were left behind. I'd be wearing them. Are you kidding? I'd put the fanciest dress on and strut around. Absolutely. I'd be having fun at least for one day.
Yeah, at least for one day, because you'd be killed the other days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or like imagine wearing those big like bell dresses with the hoops on them and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You'd be like,
give me one of those lace umbrellas.
And walkers would be like hanging on the hoops. Yes. Like you'd be dragging them, and then you have one of those like cartoon moments where they just gets torn down. And you're like, oops. You're like, and then you walk away sideways.
I just pictured it.
Like a vaudeville act, right?
Off screen, yeah. Off screen. Oh my gosh. Then I need the big giant feathers to cover up with.
Yeah, exactly. Then it'd be like a, what is it?
Wait, we went to burlesque.
Show.
Yeah, we went from cowboys to burlesque. I really only watch shows that have already ended.
A lot of people say that about The Walking Dead. I've been finding out, by the way.
Except for The Walking Dead.
Well, yeah, that's us. So like we want to be there as it happens. But like I've been finding out a lot of people think it's either over or it's going to be finished soon, and B, when I tell them that it's not finished, that they'll be watching it all once it's done, which is interesting to me. Like I think that's really kind of the way things are moving, and there's something that gets lost. I think also there's a lot of excitement that gets lost, a lot of fandom. Maybe the idea of fandom gets lost eventually, and it's not something we can harness.
I completely agree. I think watching a show live week to week is a completely different experience than just binging it. You don't get the attachment to the characters the same way when you have to go a whole week without them. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm like my friend, so my colleague at work at my day job, he's actually catching up from, I think he finished. Yeah, he finished season 8 of The Walking Dead. He's blowing through I think he watched season 9. He's blowing through season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, and I think he's gonna start. He's probably already a chunk into season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, and he's like talking to me about it now. And I'm like, what's interesting about, like, we started at the beginning of season 8, so like I can recall a whole bunch of things. I can tell him, did you know this? Did you know that? Like Frank Delane left the show, which is why they had to make all these crazy big narrative changes and double down on cast, and and so like it's kind of like it's interesting to watch him like catch up and now like get really interested in the show, and hopefully he'll be done by the time season 10 comes around to The Walking Dead. But it kind of goes further to the point, like there's still holdouts, there's still people who want to watch live, but I just feel like I don't like this idea of binging everything. I don't like, there's something like, I really don't like when a show comes out, let's say on Netflix, and has all the episodes lined up.
Oh, I love that.
There's something so like that puts me off about it, though.
But see, Netflix has done a good job because they know they drop all their episodes. It's the structure of each episode is totally different. Like because they drop a whole season at once, it is such a slow process because they know you're going to binge it. So you get almost zero information in like the first 3 episodes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like you have to keep binging, and they know you're going to. So yeah, it's a super, super slow process to get any sort of information. You
know where you notice that the most is the Marvel series, like Jessica Jones and Dragon Fist and
it's like the last 3 episodes of the season are action packed, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the end. Like there is something to be said about not having to set up these dramatic breaks for commercial. And I feel like The Walking Dead may be moving to that direction, that space too. I penned a really interesting article about the difference between people watching Scars, that Michonne episode with the X scars in the back.
Yep.
The difference between people who got screeners, AMC Premiere, and the people who watch live. There's a huge gap between those people who experienced it without commercials and then those who watched it when it aired publicly. And there was something so undercut about the drama when you were watching commercials. Like, it just felt something was interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, they're like breaking you out of that state of mind.
Yeah, and I feel like you're getting these directors who, I think it's directors who are not used to building up for like commercial breaks. You know, building up the tension for the commercial breaks and to start them off when the commercial comes back. Because that episode felt really undercut by the commercials. And I was so mad about it that I wrote something about it, and I'll link to the blog or something like that. But it was just
I remember
jarring.
the heat. I remember the heat from that podcast too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so upset. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, they did. They stole the emotion right away.
Yeah, it was just really, and like I did pick up near the end, like, you know, when Judith was talking, like, what about our friends? Mm-hmm. Did we forget about Maggie and Glenn and or sorry, whatever, or, whoever's on the show, Daryl, Carol, right? I think we bring this up because also I'm starting to feel that way about Fear the Walking Dead as well, because it's like you and me, we're watching via AMC Premiere. Obviously, it enables us to pre-record. And I you know what? It's kind of funny. I keep thinking to myself, maybe the commercials would have actually made the experience a little bit better.
For tonight's episode? Yeah,
because if you watch it straight through, it's just a lot of you're getting no break between all these narrative shifts. Like, oh, we get here and we have to give up, and then Dwight finds the horses and then brings them back, and there's just no break between like the letdowns and the mishaps and the misdirects and then the wedding, and then it needs to be broken up a bit, I think. Which is kind of the opposite.
I mean, it still definitely felt like a season finale, though, in that way, because they were packing it all in. You know what I mean? If it were any other episode, they may have had those breaks in there, but I think for the finale, they were really trying to drive it home and get everything in.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So, do you? I have a theory. I'm sure that you do. Who was actually on the other end of Dwight's radio?
Oh, so it comes down to a theory. I mean, that's interesting too. Like, so you don't think it's Sherry?
No, I think based on the look on her face, it was June.
June on the radio?
Mm-hmm. They had a radio back there.
You're saying with Dwight at the beginning of the episode?
Yeah, when she's like, Dwight.
Are you there?
Like they're trying to, yeah. I think it was June.
Oh.
And I say that based on the conversation that they have later on when Dwight is telling June about this, and he's telling her, you know, what that meant to him, and that hearing her voice led him to do the right thing and bring the horses back, and now they're there basically because he thought he heard Sherry's voice. And what I saw was the look on June's face going, okay, I'm gonna let you go with that.
I'll have to listen to that again, because I thought maybe for sure that was Sherry. I don't know.
I mean, I can't say that it sounded
everybody
like June.
Sounds like Tess on the radio to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't say who I think it sounded like on the radio. I'm just coming to that conclusion based on her facial expression during the conversation.
Well, I was just thinking because like she knows the stakes. Like she knows that that Virginia can basically take her to Sherry anytime he wants to. You know?
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Right. That's still a big maybe.
Right.
At one time, she knew where Sherry was. Doesn't mean she still does.
Right. That's a good point.
Or that she's even still alive.
And maybe it's the fact that she's able to contact him at all. Let's just say it's Sherry for a second, right? The fact that she's able to contact him at all means that she's free. I mean, most likely that she's free.
Or a lure.
That's interesting.
Ginny's saying, you know, here, call out to Dwight. Draw him to us.
So when did Morgan... Well, no, I think Morgan radioed out to her a little while before, right? No, I think he was about... The episode before, did we end up with him saying we need help at the ridge, like leading into...
Yeah, the episode ended with Morgan saying, hey, Ginny, we need a hand.
We need your help. Yeah.
And then that was when Dwight took off.
Well, then Ginny wouldn't have needed Sherry to set him up. Think about that. So that means that Sherry is... Yeah, that means that Sherry is free.
Yeah, if it is Sherry.
And if Sherry is free and he knows it, then that means a lot more to him, because then, I mean, if he uses Ginny to get to Sherry, he'll be putting Ginny in the same circle, the same cycle of agony between, not the same, obviously, not the same, but like the same kind of under Negan's boot kind of savior's mentality is these people.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't want to do that. He's doing everything in his power to not have to do that again.
Yeah. If it is Sherry, then I got to believe that Ginny told her that Dwight was still out there too. So Ginny would have had to have contact with Sherry again, because Sherry had washed her hands of Dwight, said, don't look for me. We're done. Just survive. Da, da, da. So why now would she be reaching back out to him if she didn't know he was so close?
I feel like we should really go back to that scene in the bar where they find that dude that died. That like, it's like a diner, I think, because do you remember Sherry put the infinity symbol on one of the checks? You know, the little checks?
Yep. The little,
Like,
yes.
we should really examine the body to see if, like, one of the dudes had the key symbol, right?
Oh, right? Yeah.
So, but, like, Ginny mentioned that Sherry had been to that bowling alley, I think. We didn't even go to that bowling alley. We don't even know about it. It's like, I think that's interesting. We're going to probably see it in the next season, maybe.
Yeah, but that's where the mechanic is, apparently.
So there's something there. But we do know that Sherry is not with this group, the settlers, basically.
Do we know that?
I think so. I think the way she worded it is that the guy at the bowling alley had run into her or something like that.
Okay, I guess she did make it seem like Sherry was sort of passing through.
Yeah. Which, again, like I brought up in the last episode, is that how things work? Like, does she let them go, or does she give them that choice or kill them? And
I don't see her giving Sherry a choice.
Right. Unless she wasn't there. I don't know. It's just touchy. I don't really know what to think.
We need a flashback.
I mean, we need more info. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a flashback, but we need more info. Which I think that's what's so great about having 6th season, because, like, now we get to see, I mean, will they do like a backtrack? Will they do like a flashback where they take us up to the point where, right? To where
what if we have a whole Sherry episode?
I mean, well, there's that, but I'm talking about the settlers. Like, what if we go back in time and see it from their point of view?
Oh, okay.
Right? And this includes Sherry and the time she bumps into the dude. And so, I mean, obviously it would be kind of hairy, because, you know, you'd be having this whole cast up front and this whole other cast. And how are they going to do that perspective, you know? And do you lose something by not having your other characters in the forefront, right?
I don't know. I mean, it worked out in the episode where we learned about Alpha's background. That worked out well.
True, but that was a flashback. That was an origin flashback. And that wasn't the whole episode, too. We still had our main cast in that episode. Right.
I would hope if they did show us a little bit of the settlers' background, it wouldn't be the whole episode. I wouldn't mind something similar.
I'm talking about a whole season.
A whole season? You're nuts. No way.
No, I am crazy.
I'm not watching that.
Exactly. Or it could be like, it could be constructed in a way where, like, but again, like, do you want to keep using that gimmick of time? Do you know what I mean? Like the same as season 4. So it's a slippery thing. I don't know how they're going to write this new season out, too. But I do know that it would be cool to kind of get a cool flashback from their point of view of how they're doing, how they did things. Maybe they changed very recently, too. Who knows?
Maybe after we finally see where they're at, we'll get more of a glimpse of the history.
Yeah, because it looks like those walkers have been dead a while, too. Or, I mean, some of them didn't, though. I will say that much. Some of them looked more recent than others.
In
recently
the Gulch?
Deceased. Yeah, from the walkers that they were leading away.
Yeah. I don't know if I can draw a complete comparison from the comics, but it did, that whole scene did kind of remind me of the comics, too, where they had this great big herd of walkers, and it was actually Eugene who got up on a horse and started, rallying around them and getting them to follow him, and they ended up running the whole herd over a cliff. In this episode, it was a river, but yeah, that whole thing kind of reminded me of that, on the horses and sort of corralling the walkers and, leading them that way. And that's the Whisperer's whole thing too, is corralling these oceans of walkers to use as weapons.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I did kind of notice that when they were doing that. I was like, oh, they're kind of like doing the Whisperer shtick, like by corralling all the walkers, but like instead of being them and whispering them and like corralling them that way, they're kind of taking a big risk by using them as cattle or something.
Big time.
Hurting them like cattle.
They were a lot closer to them than I felt like they needed to be. I don't know about you. Like, do you really need to be that close? Like, they're going to follow you. Just sort of, run back and forth and get their attention. I
did notice that. I think that was like more like dramatic effect,
of course,
to raise the stakes.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this episode was really raising the stakes, seeing it from their point of view. Because, a lot of what we said about the last episode, about why it was that they made the decisions that they made at the end of the episode, at least, was that like, walking 15 miles, having no food, having no water, being beaten down, and then having the sucker punch of like expecting there to be some sort of thing, and then being tremendously let down. And so you're fighting against the mood.
Yeah.
And so it's always like trying to, I think with all of them, it's always trying to claw its way back. Like the dark times, like, so it brings me also to kind of like June saying, I'm afraid of being that person again. Let you be, and then Alicia kind of being the opposite, saying like, hey, you were right about, you can't keep a weapon between everybody you love and making sure they don't die. They will die. And she goes, I know that, you're right. So knowing that, I can at least do this. Like, I can at least take part in this and know that, I may lose people. So there's still this.
But she's not going to lose herself. I think that was the most important thing too. Like, I recognize what I was going through. I see where I want to be, but this is what I need to do now. And I'm not going to forget, how hard I worked to be the other person. So.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of that going on too. Like John reminding June, there's just no way you can be that person. And she's like, yeah, I know. I just don't want to be this person without you.
Gosh, those two just absolutely killed me this episode. Just, oh my gosh. I think I have a toothache. They were just too sweet. Seriously. So incredibly sweet.
There were points in this episode where I was kind of like, they were like this medium point of like having these downs and then ups and then downs, like through their eyes. And like, I'm sorry, I brought you to the wrong place. And then I don't want to be this person again. I don't want to do this without you. And then like John saying, I guess you did find the right place. I'm gonna make an honest woman out of you. And then like there's that, and then almost like, and then these moments like where the walkers almost like get June's horse and John shoots it down and like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's like things like that happen throughout the episode, and then obviously the wedding. So there's this big high, and then there's this big low afterwards where they get separated, which is really fucked up.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
And that's another indicator about the kind of person Ginny is. You can tell that she learned that tactic of separating people.
Oh yeah.
Because if you separate people from each other,
big power move.
They do less damage.
Yep.
So something happened with her where you had a couple of these people together who had relationships like man and wife and mother and daughter, which is cold.
Father-daughter, too.
Yeah, father-daughter, the Daniel-Charlie situation. That was rough.
She knew who to separate, too. That was even more important. Like, it's one thing to go in, right? It's one thing to go in and just say, you there, you there, you there. But she knew where those connections were and how to get to them emotionally. She knew exactly who to separate from who. Extra evil bitch.
She used their tapes against them.
Absolutely.
That's
as
really
soon as John told June, I'm going to make an honest woman of you, I went, oh shit, he's dead.
Oh, right.
I'm like, you don't ever say that.
Speaking of that, but that's almost worse. And then they get separated.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's all.
They do always find their way back to each other, though.
Yeah, that's the John and June tale.
Exactly. As long as they're alive, they'll reunite.
And I think that's really good, like in terms of the mental health of the group. And Morgan brings this up also. He's like, they can't take away what we did, And he says it again at the end, when I'll get into that speech. But it really is true. Like, they keep building on top of their original message was absolution. And then it's about doing something more. It's about building something. And then it's about living. And then it's about building the future. It's like all these little gradations of how they're growing as a group and what they're trying to achieve. throughout the season, by the way. It really just, it's driven home in some of these scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a maturity to the group that it sucks that they have to separate, but they're seeing the long view. They're like, I did get that feeling as they were being separated. Like, it's sad, but it's also like they'll figure it out. They're not giving up hope.
Yeah. And we've seen our characters, maybe not so much on a little bit on this show, but especially on Walking Dead, there have been countless times where our group gets separated, and they're all over the place too, and eventually they always find their way back to each other.
Right. I don't think it's done in such a dramatic way, though. Like, it's one thing if you take away Dwight, right? Or, sorry, Daryl, I meant. And then you hide him in a hidey hole with Negan for, like, almost the entire season, I think. I think maybe it was the entire season.
Well, now I was thinking more season 4 on their way to Terminus, when they're all scattered in the woods, too.
Right.
Which was, honestly was a slow season for me anyway. Wasn't my favorite, but they were all over the place. They didn't know where each other were, and they eventually came.
But there were clusters of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here I think I don't know who's going to be together.
Right. Yeah, we don't know what the groups are going to be yet.
Yeah, we don't know what the power groups are going to be.
That's
if
a
at
good
all.
point. From what I saw, it was like one person was in each vehicle, except for like the back of the truck.
With the kids,
and then the kids. Well, yeah, the kids in the semi, and then the bed of another truck where Dwight was in a group of people.
Yeah, I almost thought Janice was with him, but she wasn't. I really took a look.
I didn't see her.
Right.
Maybe she was with the kids.
Maybe I should have taken a better look at the van, at the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luciana got her one line in.
Yeah, and I'm glad though. And it's funny, like. Maybe Ginny knew that she'd have to take the kids, and that bringing Luciana would make it easier.
Sure.
Because she noticed that
how could Ginny not look at kids as useful? I mean, she's the one talking about the future. I mean, if kids are not a part of that, then she's not. What is she doing?
Right. And actually, I think that's what gets, because she has a line at the end.
Ginny?
Yeah.
Okay.
After she tries to kill Morgan, and Morgan tries to thwart her, scars her in the face, basically, I think. It looked kind of like that, or maybe he just kind of missed her.
It looked like she had just had a red mark.
I have so many questions about that, but I know it rattled her cage. It looked like it rattled her cage.
Mm-hmm.
But forgetting about that for just a moment, like, after she walks up to her and, like we were saying before, like has this overhead shot of her with the gun in his face, and it fizzles out. Okay. Now, was it a dud? Oh, so did Morgan. Did you see his reaction again?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, damn.
No, no, I screamed, I don't die.
That is, by the way, Lenny James just needs some sort of award for that reaction.
Oh my gosh.
That was just so real, man.
Seriously.
Just thinking about put yourself in his shoes. How would he acted like as if he was just about to get shot?
I'm sure she had a real prop gun in her hand. You know,
that's my question.
You can mentally convince yourself that it's real.
Yeah.
You could, yeah. Oh, we've always known Lenny James is an amazing actor, but yeah.
Oh, tweak those dials, man. Turn that up. He just really turned that up. But here's what I was going to say is that the line she said, I do hope you die. Like after the gun turns out to either be a dud or like a prop gun or like shooting blanks. But even blanks make a sound. So that's why I ask, was it a prop gun or was it a gun that just dudded out? Which I
think it misfired.
Yeah, which is way more significant too, right? Because if it is a dud, it's like he really doesn't die.
Morgan doesn't die.
That was so amazing. I just can't, there's something to be said about knowing the facts as they stand, and then having this one moment where it could have been the end. I mean, even if it is the end for Morgan, let's say, and we'll go through the scene again later on, but because there's just so many questions. Having that moment was just so oh my God, he doesn't even get to die properly if he's going to die, right? But like she says this line, it's like, I do hope you die, but that's not the point anymore.
Yeah.
I hope you heard me. So, and this is just on the heels of hearing the doctor say, you know, Grace is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe 3 or 4 months along.
Mm-hmm.
And when the gun fizzles, so let me go back to the gun. When the gun fizzles out, Morgan has this reaction. Lenny James has this reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, God damn it! Damn it! I thought I was going to die. And then Ginny has this other reaction. She is like mouth covered, like in horror, just in tears, like almost in tears. Like at what, like, oh my God. Like almost relieved, but also like I didn't kill him. Like this weird kind of like moment.
So I took that completely, totally opposite, different than you did.
Well, there is what she said beforehand, but it's just this weird thing that I noticed. Like,
well, the reaction that you're talking about,
yeah.
I took that as pain when the gun misfired in her hand. There was a spark, and I thought it hurt her.
Oh, okay.
I thought she was reacting to the pain from the gun misfiring.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt more.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I felt more that it was like in reaction to the moment. Like,
do you think she was like?
I don't think she wanted. Like, I think she wanted to be like she said also, like, I just resent your face so much.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I mean,
okay, there's some info there.
She's clearly killed people, right? I mean, it's not like she's afraid to kill somebody or would feel bad about it.
Or, I mean, I don't know. Let's break this down to me. Do you feel like there's like a Pamela Milton-esque mood about her? Like, does she have other people usually kill others? And does she usually do it from a distance? Does she really do it? She usually do it from this close up? You know, there's something to it.
The impression I get from Ginny, I don't think she would have any problem killing people. I mean, yeah, I think other people do it too, but I don't think she would have any problem. That's why, and I think that's why I didn't take the reaction the way you did. I don't think she, I don't think she would have second guessed herself killing somebody at all. But that's just how I see her personality.
Oh yeah, no, of course, like according to her personality that we know of currently. What
we know of her.
I think that's why her reaction threw me off. Like, her reaction seemed counter to her personality.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that she would be mad.
Right. Like, she wasn't mad. Look at it and be like, oh, why didn't it work? I
mean, I'm looking at her reaction. I'm like almost saying, like, she looked in a way, like, not relieved, like, in a way.
Okay.
But like relieved that she didn't have to kill somebody in cold blood. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean, it might have been a different situation considering Morgan wasn't armed. They weren't in the middle of a scuffle. Like, it would have been cold-blooded.
Yeah.
He's already injured, can't defend himself, and she was just going to pop him.
Right.
So maybe that situation would have taken an emotional toll. I guess I just don't really see her having a lot of emotions.
Yeah, and like you said, it could be like the tension of the moment. Because that's the thing, Ginny is a human being. Like, it's not as if, like you said, everybody, this might be her Negan moment. Like, this might be her moment where it's like, this is where things turn a darker corner. You know? It was one thing if I see somebody that's useless and order somebody else to kill them with a gun from a distance, like from a certain range of feet. And maybe that would have been easier for her if Morgan just would have died then and there. But I think there's multiple parts to how this went down. Like, I think she was surprised that he did not give up. He did not, like, succumb. Like, he didn't go without a fight. There's that. It rattled her cage. And I think that's genuinely how it went down. It's like, she thought that it was over with that moment. It wasn't over. It's like, holy shit, this guy won't die.
We already knew that. Could have told you that,
I thought this was in the bag, you know? And so there's that surprise. She's stumbling around. She picks up his stick. She throws it away. Like, just not thinking, like, I don't, like stumbling some more. Yeah. Stumbles to the other guy's gun. Yeah. And then picks up his gun and all this stuff. And so there's like this genuine surprise to her face. And then knowing that there's only one way to get it done, like putting her boot on his body, making sure he doesn't move, and like shooting him in the face, and even that doesn't work.
Right.
And I gotta go. There are walkers over there. I gotta go.
Yeah.
But I just want to go back to that line though. Like, I hope you die, but that's not the point anymore. You know, like, I hope you heard me, and I think that's the thing. Like, I hope you heard me. The point is not.
I heard that line, but I didn't understand it. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope you heard me. Heard what? Heard what?
Heard that
you're crazy.
That it's not the point. It goes back to your original question, like with kids in the future and babies and stuff like that. Like, I think she's starting to see things a different way. I'm almost thinking like she doesn't want to kill people after knowing that there's, you know, people can have babies and be pregnant and stuff like that.
Did she forget that people could do that?
I don't know. I can see a lot of limp dicks in the apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, not really a whole lot to get you in the mood. I mean,
and tumbleweed vaginas.
Yeah, like right? Ugh, no showers, like.
Well, they have. See, that's the thing. They have. I think even with all of that, there's just something about like just something's off. You know, like at any moment things could, you know, happen.
So. We know.
And bringing children into the world, people willing to bring children into the world, that's a whole other story. Like, it's one thing if you want to get it on.
Right. But then to have babies, But, I mean, that's what it would take for survival, right? You've got to have the next generation of people. Otherwise, you're done. We're done.
You have to want to survive, too. And that's big. Whoa, that's the entire message of the season, too, though. Because if you really, really think about it, like... everything everybody's hated about this season of Fear the Walking Dead is all like they just keep de-emphasizing survival. It's all about survival. It's not about living. It's not about the future. It's not about building things. No, I mean that's really literally. It's like people are like putting narrative blinders on them and not hearing that there's got to be something more. The Walking Dead does this too. Like no, but they get a pass. It's The Walking Dead. But like. Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, there has to be something beyond survival. There has to be. You have to level up. You can't just be playing the first and second, third levels, 10 levels. You have to keep going for like higher levels. And so, and that's the thing. Like, if they were focusing on survival, they wouldn't get married. They wouldn't pair up. They wouldn't, you know, have these relationships and stuff like that. I mean, what is it about if not leveling up? Like figuring out what there is more to. And so. I mean, I hear the complaining, and it really bugs me. And I think Ginny, even herself, maybe has not even thought that far. Like, there's building the future, making life easier for everybody to survive, but she doesn't get what comes after. I don't think that entered into her mind. I think it was that moment where she heard Grace was pregnant. Oh, these people get it. These people were building the future. These people were doing what. It's one thing to say that we can go on like the way we were before, but it's another thing to build that part of it, that wanting to have children in a broken world, like the rabbi said today, this episode. You know? It's just a strange kind of realization that like you can give them the hot tub, you can give them the condo, you can give them everything, but you can't give them that sense of fulfillment in being a part of helping people and like building this right way of building up the world. You know, there's something to be said about doing it yourself. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm struggling to kind of say it the right way. You know what I mean?
I think I think I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, the way this group was building up the future, like unbeknownst to them,
right,
is different than the way Ginny was doing it. Like, this is a world I want to have children in. This is a world where like I don't know. Like, I have the comforts, but I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know how to bring kids in this world. So
yeah. So we know now that baby daddy's plant guy, right?
Yeah.
Since she admitted that they, you know, okay. I guess that also gives us sort of a time frame for a lot of things too. If she's been pregnant 3-4 months, then the plant was operational 3-4 months ago.
Yeah. Well, sort of. I think it was always in a constant state of not being around. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm forgetting about the timeline for a second though. Like just one little bit is that like, you know how some people who are exposed to like, I think a common thing is like different kinds of cancers that people have as a result of being exposed to radiation, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The fact that she's able to have a child is huge. It really informs us a lot about the extent of her no radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Like she got some good genes is what I'm saying.
Well, we still need to see her, bring it to term as well.
Yeah,
I mean, if she is at that 3 or 4 month mark in the real world, that's still a scary area of time in a pregnancy. That's true.
But let's kick it back to when we were talking about it in the last episode, TWD 3, the new this is it. We've confirmed something. You were like, Grace. What do you mean, Grace? They're gonna get it on? Like, yeah, well, somebody got it on. It wasn't Morgan and Grace. Yeah, and I think that's one of the children in the new. It's got to be now.
Grace's baby.
Yeah, Grace's baby at least.
Could be, yeah.
Or maybe twins.
Could be twins.
Right.
I mean, I'm still holding out hope for June and John too. I mean, they could be knocking boots.
Yeah, maybe that's the other kids too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They're like triplets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We know 2 of them are siblings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But not twins. Siblings,
and I think it is the
twins?
girls. I think it's Annette Mahendru and Aaliyah Rose. I think is her name.
Okay.
I think it's Aaliyah
siblings,
Rose?
not twins, right?
Could be siblings, right? It could be twins though. I don't know.
Okay.
Fraternal twins or something.
Yeah.
We don't know the details of it. We do know that they're sisters, but
okay. All right.
But yeah, we don't know that much. Unfortunately.
So there's somebody we haven't brought up yet, and I don't know if this is going to be opening a can of worms, but I've been saying this for a while now that Strand is always going to be looking out for Strand.
Yeah. I think that's intentionally. Do you think he's
pulling a Eugene?
I heard a lot of reactions, especially from Blazy. I'm calling you out, girl. It's one thing if you say, "Oh, this episode was good or bad," but like it's another thing when you go, "Fucking Strand."
Right? I mean, that was my. I went. I told ya.
But you know what? It's funny when you say that. When I heard Blazy say that. When you watch the episode, you're like, okay, now I have to watch out for this bullshit. But I saw it happen, and I'm still not convinced because it was done in such a way that you don't really know what Victor's game is. And no,
we don't.
I have a lot more faith in Victor, I think, than most people do.
The only thing I'm holding on to. I mean, I still think at his core, Victor is Victor. I think he's still trying really hard to be a good guy, which is good. I'm glad he's still trying, and I am holding out hope for him based on who did he say it to? Alicia? Was she
getting
the one
him on
who
the
questioned?
inside.
Yeah, and he said I missed a lot of the dialogue, but he says something along the lines of I had to, be friendly with Virginia for something. So I feel like he's kind of whispering in Ginny's ear, and he's going to sort of get closer to her in order to, dismantle from within.
Yeah. He says something to the effect of, we could do more damage on the inside.
Yeah.
To Alicia.
So, but is that a theory, or do you think he's received some information and now he has an idea of what to do with it?
I don't know. Because
he seemed pretty convinced. I know. But the way he said, and this is why I love and hate Strand. He can sound very confident with no information whatsoever.
Yeah. It could be one of those things where we have to decide whether or not we trust Strand or not. And that's pretty good. You're like on this knife's edge of it can go either way. Mm-hmm. And it depends on who you are as a fan. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool because they can do that the whole next season or most of it. And and decide either way.
They could make us think that Strand is a bad guy. Like Eugene. I mean, we spent a whole season wondering about Eugene. I didn't. I knew. I didn't know about Eugene, really. Because I didn't know what changes they were going to decide to make. He was already not at all like the Eugene in the comics, really. No.
So they could play with that change.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like Victor. Like here, it would be like total like repeating of history if this was Strand, the same way we saw him even at the Diamond, holding out like a cache of like food and weapons.
Yeah.
Do you remember with what's his name? I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name.
The other
either.
guy that was into him.
Yeah.
Sebastian Sozi is the actor. I just can't remember his name on the show. What's interesting about Daniel's interaction with Victor is like he's not like if it was he'd be really mad, Daniel. But I think Daniel's just kind of like, why did you give them the starter? Mm-hmm. He's kind of like, don't forget who you are, which means that like Daniel's acknowledging at least that you are different. You are not the same Strand that I left at the dam.
Yeah, that line kind of struck me too when he said that, and he said, "Don't forget who you are." And I thought, which Strand are you talking about? Because I think
maybe
there
both.
Yeah, I think there are two very different strands. And then I thought, okay, well he's putting this in his ear to make him think harder. If he is going to double cross the group and look out for himself, Daniel's going to, put that little jab in there to kind of make it extra hard for him to stab everyone in the back.
Right.
Remember who you are. I see you. I see that you can be a good man if you choose to be. And if he doesn't, if he decides to throw everybody under the bus, hopefully it'll make that decision harder for us.
I use the word friend loosely.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote that down.
I love that moment, like where he's like, "Oh, I took the starter," and he puts it back. Like goes back to the beginning of the season, where he took the dials, the control panel.
Off the plate. Yeah,
so funny, funny.
And at the very beginning of that scene, what's Strand doing? He's like, maybe it won't be so bad there. Like he's already talking about joining Ginny's group. And then he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll take the starter back. Like everything just seems so fishy to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Daniel has more faith in Victor than Victor has. Although I will say we don't know. We don't know. I feel like in a way we're sort of getting sneak peeks. Did you get the feeling like near like the last third, you were getting kind of almost hints at what the next season was going to be like? Oh,
absolutely.
Because with Alicia announcing like that she doesn't need to be that person, that clearing person, right? Because, I will lose people, but I won't have to lose myself. So there's like, and then June feeling like she could return to that person that she was, but knowing, no. It's not even that I need to have John. To be this person. I can be this person without John. I don't want to have to be that person without John, though.
Right.
So you see these characters kind of embracing the totality of themselves, what they're capable of. And the same thing applies to Victor, though. Like Victor, I think when they were at the bridge was trying out, like using his knowledge of being a con man to smell a con man.
Right,
right. And then I think there's a little bit of that element in here, like where it's like, I can be the con man, but not lose the kind of person that I've become over the last couple years. And even in the last year or so, being the person that I've become, with forgiving Charlie, probably. I don't know. You don't really get to see much of that, but
no.
It's fair to say that the group has forgiven Charlie. Have allowed her to kind of sneak in, regardless of how you feel. But I mean. It's true though.
It is, yeah.
I
think they all see her as a child.
They all sniffing her bullshit.
Yeah, they don't see her as a killer.
They don't see what I see.
She's a kid.
Right. It's fair to say that, but I mean, so going off of that, like, Strand is just another one of those people, and so it's just. Everybody's embracing that. So we're going to probably see a little bit of that Charlie, the Charlie that knows how to sneak off, knows how to get into tunnels, disappear, come back.
Oh, yeah.
Be that. So we're going to see people in their totality embracing the new me and then the old me and then not losing that.
Yeah. I like that all these characters are figuring that out too. Like you said, Strand was using his con man wiles to sort of feel Ginny out, and I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of people learning how to use that other side of themselves without completely, reverting back to that mental state.
Dwight too, I think too. There is a bit of that too. Like he does know how to trick people and get on their good side and then turn, Oh
yeah.
I'm more worried for him than anyone else because he tried the most to not have to fall into that trap.
Oh man, I know.
Right?
Yeah. Dwight's definitely a big mystery for next season because we've seen how he can be very useful as a bad guy, but is he going to want to, I don't think he's going to want to show them that he can do that. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to be that guy anymore. And if Ginny or anybody knows that he's capable of that, they might not give him a choice.
They're going to exploit it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best way to break him down is to bring him back to that level. Right.
Yeah.
This is that he's more interesting to watch in my, and then like there's Daniel as well. And I think Daniel, oh man, I mean, see, and as you break this down, you realize season 6 is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And again, so there's a very interesting sneak peek kind of feel to this episode. It's like, even though they're not giving us sneak peeks, which I think they might, by the way, at some point, they're going to give us a little sneak peek. But that's the thing, we don't have a break. So I don't know how they're going to do that with the fervor of TWD season 10.
There'll be a break in the middle of season 10.
November.
Maybe we'll get some sneak peeks then.
Yeah, well, I know. So here's something I do know. I do know that the one thing that San Diego Comic-Con couldn't take away was giving us more from the TWD3 series. I do think that they're going to give us a bit of a teaser this Thursday, or not Thursday, Saturday, I think is when their panel is.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And so I don't know when Fear the Walking Dead is going to go into production because everything's kind of thrown off.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might have all of them at the same time. Because I think they still have to film the back half of, they started filming in May or at the end of May. I think it was. So do you think the whole season of season 10 is in the can?
No, I think they're still filming.
Do you think they're still filming season 10?
They were still filming earlier this month.
I know that they brought them back for reshoots.
Oh, so maybe that's what was going on.
Those could have been for promos.
Could have been. That's true. I don't know.
Right?
Well, I don't know. I thought I had an answer. Now you're making me second guess.
The only reason why I ask is because, like, I know that they started filming TWD3 like only, I want to say June.
Okay.
Right? And that's when Negretti and his crew and those actors, so who knows who they brought onto that set.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's fair to say that they'll be done with that series. And true to form, that series is probably going to only have eight episodes, period. Or 6 episodes, 8 episodes, like the way they usually start the series.
Walking Dead and Fear only had 6 episodes in their first season.
Do you think that they're going to do the same thing with this series? I think so.
I think so, but I don't think they have to. I think that the show has a good enough track record that they could come out with a full season and people would watch.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to go with tradition on this one.
Yeah,
they're going to make it larger than life. You know what I mean?
I could see them coming out with just the 6, but I think they could do a full regular season.
It'd be very interesting to see how they do. The reason why I ask is because that depends. I guess they could start filming season 6, right? I mean, as soon as TWD airs. I mean, they finished season 5 only a couple months ago, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had the rap party.
I don't know anything about their filming.
I remember they finished the entire season as like somewhere just before the mid-season finale was finishing. Okay. And they had their rap parties and stuff like that. So I feel like, 8 episodes means 2 months. I feel like they could start filming Fear the Walking Dead right away. Mm-hmm. Which means I don't know when their teaser, I guess, could come in the mid-season finale for TWD season 10.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get a teaser for TWD 3 this Saturday. And we'll probably get more info of TWD 3 during the break, too. Because I'm trying to figure out when it's going to start airing, too.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. Have you?
Is it going to be between... It's not going to be the mid-season finale. It seems too soon. right?
Yeah.
For The Walking Dead.
I don't know.
Right?
I have no idea. I mean, if they were gonna, it'd have to go right there.
You know, I think they said something about it being during. Yeah, it has to be like after TWD season 10.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be right after the entire season.
Yeah, and they would probably only have room for 6 episodes before Fear starts back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like with a little bit of a break, right? Like so
maybe a week.
Like 2 weeks, 2 weeks or something?
If that, yeah.
If that, right.
I mean, how are they going to fit this new series in anyway?
Like, what are they trying to do to us?
We already have year-round Walking Dead.
Well, you know what? We did have 8 weeks of giveaways, but I think there was a 10-week break last year between the mid-season finale of TWD season 9 and when it came back. So I think it was like I took 2 weeks off and then I started 8 weeks of giveaways. I believe. Okay. I think that's how it went down. So now, I mean, that's a perfect. You could put 6 and then 2 and 2, right?
Yeah.
And you're back on track.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought their breaks were a little long too, and they could fit more content in too. So year-round TWD content. It's just like Gimple proposed it would be. Like last year around this time.
Not going to hear me complaining.
Nope. I mean, I'll complain a little bit.
I won't.
I've got to produce this show.
Yeah, you have more to complain about. I just show up and talk.
Yeah. I can't take off. I can. Oh, this is rough, man. This is totally rough. But anyway, okay. So... yeah, what did you think of that whole entire death scene? Or like, well, let's go to the obvious question of, do you think Morgan will die?
No, of course not. No, not convinced. I saw him roll under the dumpster.
I love that you said that, by the way. I love that you're so quick to say that, too.
So the second time I watched it the first time by myself, and then the second time I watched with my husband, right? And we're getting to the end, and he's like, oh man. And I go, wait, watch. And he's staring so intently, right? And he's like, and then the screen goes black, and he goes, what happened? I said, you didn't see it?
I didn't see it. Wait, you saw something?
I said, he rolled under the dumpster. He goes, oh, fuck
Shut the fuck up. He's such an asshole.
I laughed so hard. No, of course he's not dead. He's Morgan. He doesn't die.
I can tell you what evidence I have that he may not be dead. You ready for this?
Yeah. Convince me more.
Did you see? So remember how last week I pointed out the tree in the teaser, the tree in the chapel, the tree that Alicia and Wes painted.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, okay, so we got to see that it was them both. Mm-hmm. All we saw was the tree. We didn't know who did it. So it was Alicia. It was a joint project. Did you see what was written above the tree?
I did not. I could not make out any words on that image.
I had to go full screen on that.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything.
No one's gone until they're gone.
So
Morgan is backing away from Ginny to the chapel, just underneath the archway where they drew the painting. Mm-hmm. And what does it say? No one's gone until they're gone. What did Madison say to the kids? No one's gone until they're gone. Yep.
So Morgan's stick is right there. Like, Ginny didn't even take his weapon with her.
No,
it's right there.
She was so dazzled that she kind of just tossed it. Like, I think that was really good. It was really, really good because it was very convincing that she would be like that frazzled and dazzled. Mm-hmm. Days that she would just do that. She would like takes it, just tosses it weakly and go away. But like, there's something to be said about like I feel like it's not only a signal that maybe, and again I'll say maybe Morgan isn't dead, but it's almost like a little. We're so shocked by this, or like tied up in this drama that like we haven't thought about the ramifications of how this echoes what happened in the previous season.
If Morgan dies?
With Madison. Like, if he doesn't die.
Uh-huh.
Like, so there's Madison, and then there's Morgan that we accept as dead under these ambiguous circumstances. Like, we don't see a body.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't see Madison's body. We're not going to see Morgan's.
Well, Madison was fighting off hundreds of walkers. Morgan has like 5.
Of fuel-filled walkers, by the way. Fuel-drenched walkers.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I'm more convinced that Madison's dead than I am that Morgan's going to die.
100%. 1,000% even. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am with you. I can see Morgan rolling away.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to grab the stick. He's going to get a burst of energy. Pow, pow, pow.
I don't know about the burst of energy. I can see like maybe
adrenaline, man. Yeah,
I can see a little tie-in at least with maybe the CRM group, like going ninja style and popping, pop, 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 and then giving him the same treatment as Rick.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I can also see a world in which, if they've been around for a while, the CRM airlifting, like Madison. Now, obviously, it would have to be like done way better to where, you know, how is that even possible if because I mean there was an explosion too, right? I think there was an explosion at the Diamond when Madison was dying.
Was it? Yeah, yes, that was like the last thing we saw,
like a big flare up or something. At least it would have to be done in such a way. Because my angle is that, like, you know, you could do the same for Morgan as you did for Madison, and they could all show up in the feature films somehow, maybe. It's just so sad. There's something, like, do you remember what we said about Daryl the other day?
We say a lot of things about Daryl.
If he has feelings for someone, it's a signal that it's the end of the series or something.
Beginning of the end.
It could be the beginning of the end for him, and it's same for him as a character, but it could also be the beginning. I feel like we imparted a little bit of that on Morgan. Like, as soon as Morgan admits his feelings, that's it.
Yep.
It's done. As soon as he becomes a whole human being, he can be killed. It's like Voldemort. Morgan is like Voldemort in that way. If he starts picking up the pieces and reintegrating it to himself, it's kind of like we were saying, like, these people are accepting the totality of themselves, and this does not end with Morgan. And now that you accept the totality of yourself, you can die.
Yeah.
It's like you can.
I loved that exchange between him and Grace too, because he doesn't even it's like he doesn't even recognize the feeling of love. He can't even say it. He's like, I felt something and I only felt it with Jenny. Like, love? You love her? Say I love you?
I get it though. I really do get it. I've never felt anything close to the way I feel about Evelyn that I felt with anybody else. And it's a weird thing to think about, having those feelings for somebody else.
But you know that you love her. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. The same way
you can recognize it with Evelyn, but if you felt like that with someone else, you'd be like, what's going, like, that's not right.
Yeah, that's definitely not right.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think he's not let himself feel anything close to that for a while. Like, maybe you get hints, like, with John Dorie, even, like, in that way, but it's not the same, you know? Like, you could see his face after the carousel ride. It was just crazy. Like, watching that big... Have you seen that goofy grin once? It was more like a wince when you used to see it. Like, it was like... Like, it's like scrunchy face. But it wasn't the same way. Like, a full... Until there was no cheek. Until he ran out of cheek.
He ran out of cheek.
Fucking Daniel.
I love that line.
So, but it's the way that it came about. It's Grace saying, after today, I feel like there's at least one more day in me. And if there is one more day in me, then Morgan can feel comfortable saying what he has to say. You know what I mean? And Morgan say, "This is not the end. This is the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end." And so Morgan feels comfortable saying the things that he needs to say.
Yeah,
it's awesome. But it's also heartbreaking too, because if he does turn out, we have to also accept the fact that he may die. Or he may be dead.
Do we though?
See, now you're turning into Meg.
I'm telling you, Morgan doesn't die. He doesn't die. And here's the other thing. I would almost argue, like, I would be pissed if at that point they killed him off, because if the plan was to have him die by Walker, why not just let Ginny do it? Like, what is the point of the misfired gun?
I think that's why Morgan's reaction in that moment is so powerful. Like, you can't even kill me, right? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was the end. This can't. Yeah. It's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't think that it is his end. If it was going to be, if the show had decided to write him off, I feel like it needed to be a bigger spectacle than that.
Well, it certainly did play up the mood because I will tell you one thing. There's some, if you rewatch the show, there's some narrative, like visual elements leading up to that moment. And I knew it was coming because of these elements. Why are they choosing to do that? Why are they choosing to do this? So you see him follow Grace behind the bush. He's staring off at the taillights in the distance, right? Mm-hmm. And then it shows him kind of, it's a static focused cam, and as he's backing away, it shows him like getting more blurry. And I'm like, oh shit. And then there's no noise, there's no sound effects, there's no music. It's quiet as fuck. Mm-hmm. So you know shit's going down. Like, I'm like, oh shit, this is it. I know this is it. This is it. This is what's going to happen. So now this could be building a moment, but there's like when it comes to these narratives, like these narrative elements, there's almost a truth behind them. Like a poetry, like this is the showdown. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to survive. I feel like we have to.
I thought you of all people would.
I'm speaking as a Morgan lover. I love him. He's like my favorite character.
I know. That's why I'm so shocked.
I'm telling you, I've had a day to kind of process this and try to be the host that I need to be. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite too. Like we mentioned this in the other episode. It's like, you have to, I mean, like, I'm going to feel what I'm going to feel. I'm going to, sucks if I don't get my Morgan, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to stop watching the show. Like that's, right. Isn't that stupid? I know we're rehashing that, but that's so stupid.
To threaten to stop watching the show.
Yeah, if Morgan goes away, I'm not going to stop watching the show.
Right.
Like, I want to know what this is all for. I mean, it's the same thing as Walking Dead. Having somebody die like Beth or like Herschel, like, like, oh, what was it for? I don't know if that's the point. When you watch a zombie apocalypse show, that's not the point. There's not going to be meaning.
Some of the yeah, exactly. I think the point of some of these deaths is that there is no point. This is the world we're living in. People die for no reason. And that's a reality you have to get used to.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was
and that is doing the point, is that there is no point.
Yeah, you can do all of this and then it could still turn out bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Glenn's been gone 3 years and I'm still watching, so I'm not going anywhere.
Carl, too. Like, Carl was rough. I mean, also the filming of that was a little rough, too.
Yeah.
There's something about, like, how it went down and how it got dragged out a bit too much. Like, you can get the spirit of what they were trying to do, but, there's just no amount of... It's almost as if they should have just taken him away from us really quickly. Like, it would have been better if he would have gotten shot like Denise, in a way. Like, after finding out that he got bit. No, am I right, though?
Yeah,
he was going to die anyway, and so...
I have a hard time with those scenes. Like, when Denise died, I laughed my ass off. Like, when something is so shocking like that, my go-to reaction is to laugh.
You heard my...
Really? Did that really just happen?
Right. Like, oh my God. What the fuck just happened?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like me watching Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I could not stop laughing, like, at these, because it's like, holy shit. His head flew off his body.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how I react to a lot of death scenes.
Denise's thing was, it was sort of like that for me, but then I sort of like went, oh. Like, I did this kind of like, what? But then I went, ah. I went, oh, Tara. Oh, feelings.
Yeah.
I have them.
Oh, she's going to get you an orange soda and you're not going to be able to drink it.
She'd be like, no, this is the memorial soda now.
Nobody can drink it.
in my Denise shrine. Oh.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, just that whole scene, like, I mean, let's read I just want to read his last few words. Like, it wasn't, there's a little bit of paraphrasing because there's a little bit of repetition, but it wasn't just about doing right. It was about the future. we fought for the future. We made the hard call. Who said it was like we have to make the hard call? Dwight said it, but I know somebody else said it. When Dwight was backing at the river, like with all the winter.
We've heard that a few times.
Yeah.
Making the hard call.
Yeah. Yeah. In this episode specifically too, making the hard call. Mm-hmm. So we made the hard call for her, for all of us, for her meeting. So Grace, if you're listening to me, live, all of you. If you can hear me, just live. Yeah. It's so fucking, it's just so frustrating.
I don't think we're saying goodbye to Morgan just yet. Honestly, a character like that would need, a Carl type episode to say goodbye to. I think Lenny James deserves that as an actor. I think Morgan Jones as the character deserves that. I don't know. I would be really, really let down if his goodbye episode wasn't a big spectacle.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it because I'll tell you what, I agree with you in a way when it comes to Morgan. There is some poetry in the way that he went because he sort of, if he does die that way, it is sort of like the way his wife goes. It is sort of like the way Dwayne goes in a way.
Alone.
So there is sort of alone. There is kind of like a pattern. There's a theme. There's some sort of thing that kind of makes it okay. Like it's not okay no matter what for me, but
right.
Like from a story standpoint, I can see that. Like, but also as like a fan of Morgan though, there's like you don't want to see your favorite character die. But does he die properly in service of the story though?
See, that's usually where and I try to go there too.
In service of the story, not for meaning.
Storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between dying for the meaning of the characters, like to give the characters meaning, which doesn't happen in this show. Not really, not usually. But then there's like, does his death move the story along? And I think you can make an argument about yes, it does, because these characters will be forced to take Morgan's fierceness and his ability to put the right, to kind of have his guidance, like all life is precious, but also kind of like to be masters, and then like also have to do it without him, and now use him as a symbol in their heads about not forgetting. Like he said, like they can't take away what you did.
Right.
And what you did as evidenced by making Grace survive a nuclear holocaust in a far off place that they would have never gotten to if it wasn't for Logan tricking them.
Yeah.
They literally ripped Grace and allowed the new show to happen. Like, I am convinced that this kid is going to be part of the new series. Or these kids could be twins, whatever it is.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Unfortunately,
none of this would have happened if not for Logan tricking them. And then none of that would have happened if Sarah didn't kill Clayton.
Exactly.
You keep going back as far as early season 4.
Everything's all linked up, yeah. Unfortunately, nobody's really going to know if Morgan does die. Nobody's going to know. Yeah. Everybody's going to assume he's at a different place because they were all split up.
Do you think they're going to play with that?
They could.
I mean, Ginny would play with that.
Ginny would tell everybody that, oh yeah, Morgan's over at this place, and then tell that place, oh no, he's over at this place.
I resent your face so much. Wow, that was what a line, right? Mm-hmm. Like showing her cards, right?
Like she can, she's always putting on this happy face and da-da-da, and finally she's like, I just don't like your face.
I feel like almost like you think Victor's going to get like the sweet talking thing, but I feel like maybe she's thinking the same thing about Victor, calling her out, the con man knowing the con, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're gonna, I feel like she's gonna see through him.
Oh yeah. I think she's gonna maybe lead him on to think that he's sweet talking her, but
oh man, I hope he's smart enough to realize that he's getting played.
We'll see. We'll see what kind of 4D chess they're going to start playing too.
That could be a really fun. Right? That's going to be a really fun interaction between those two. Yeah,
we're watching sneak peeks.
We are. You're absolutely right. Yep. Yep.
So speaking of showing cards, it does kind of take us back to what I said last episode and the episode before that about Althea's weak moment, mentioning helicopters.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. That was another thing. I forgot to write that down, but the look on Al's face too was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Ginny does not hold back. You could see Ginny just peeling herself away, like showing her true colors until that moment with Morgan.
Yeah. Further confirmation that she is in no way tied to Isabel and their group. You know, she wouldn't have brought it up again if she didn't really want to know about it.
Right. Do you think that she's still like a Georgie splinter though? Because I feel there's just no way there can't be.
If we say Georgie's at, you know, the top of this pyramid, okay, and then she's got all these people and communities in different areas working for her, it would be totally possible that those communities don't even know about each other, right? So Isabel's community could even be a faction of Georgie's regime, and Ginny could also be, and the two groups are not aware that they're both under the same leader.
That's, you know what? I didn't think of it that way because the approach is so different.
It is, yeah.
Like Isabel's group is just operating on a whole other capacity.
Right, like actually futuristic.
To Maggie almost. And Alexandria, and you know, Hilltop Alexandria, and then they do kind of resemble each other, like Hilltop Alexandria and the Settlers, how they're doing things.
Sure. Very old school and
Isabel's like new school, like wherever she's from. I guess it could be under the same puppet master, but yeah,
possible.
Like possible, and they do. But not knowing about each other, and maybe that's intentional too. I start up these groups, and then you have these pockets of survivors from each of these scattered locations around the U.S. Let's say. I don't know. That's a really interesting way of looking at it. And then maybe Isabel's more part of the central government.
Yeah, and I think Georgie has proven that she is good at finding useful people. So
Georgie goes, "Come find me."
Yeah. Sorry. No, Georgie's gonna find you.
Right.
if you can serve some purpose, you know.
Right.
If you've got good vinyls, she'll find you.
Well, I mean, you know, that actually begs another question: is that do you think maybe there are some of these groups that know that that's what Georgie's trying to do? Like maybe Isabel's group does know about these other settlements.
Yeah, who knows? Isabel might be,
but they don't know about her.
Right? Yeah.
Like maybe she's part of more of an inner circle. So like you have Georgie in the middle, and whatever, you know, firsthand accounts and firsthand people she has, and then you have this inner circle with Isabel and those people and those settlements. But then there's the outer circle. Where the inner circle, you know, the inner circle knows about the outer circle, but the outer circle will never know about the inner circle.
Absolutely.
Like they're like a shadow group or groups, whatever it is. And all the outer groups know is Georgie. Oh, I'm just a humble servant, and here's the key to the future. And goodbye. I'll check in with you later.
Oh yeah, and I would put Ginny's group on the outskirts there. You know.
Yeah. Same with
they would
Alexandria though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They would be out there too, yeah. You know, and that's a good, you know, look at the different personality. Let's say, you know, Georgie did approach the Settlers, and they're a branch of Georgie's, you know, group or whatever. And so is Alexandria. But you don't see our group riding around on horses shooting people in the head. You know what I mean? There's definitely a different way of doing, which drives the point that Ginny's, you know, lost a couple of marbles. Like she's crazy, and maybe Georgie might not know that Ginny's running things this way. I think we had talked about that before too. You know, Ginny might just be some crazy rogue person that was put in charge and is now doing a terrible job of it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like Georgie kind of came into their lives at the end of season 8. FTWD season 8. If you remember.
Yes.
And that's about the...
Was that end of 8? It was. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so to kind of put things into perspective, it could have been about the same time she met up with the Settlers.
And we haven't even seen her then. And that's Jane Atkinson. Jane Atkinson is a huge actress. Like we're gonna see her again. Like
Mhm.
you would not cast someone like Jane Atkinson and not have her on the show again. We're
Yeah.
gonna see her.
Or like a movie. Yeah, maybe the show and a movie though. Maybe in that season of Fear, the next season of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? People were saying that the movie was going to come out in spring of 2020. I'm like, no.
That's awful.
You're not seeing the light of day. Pollyanna actually said something. She said it in a way that some people interpreted it as it being spring of 2020.
Okay.
But I know that when she says that, I know that she means spring 2021.
Oh, okay.
Or as early as that, or as late as December of 2020. There's no way you can turn around a movie.
Yeah,
I think people are also still stuck on it being a multi, like a trilogy of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were doing that if they were going to release the movies on TV. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be releasing it in the films and in theaters and just calling it.
And do you think they'll be, I guess I didn't really get the impression that they would be trilogies either, but just sort of 3 separate movies about different periods of time. I didn't think they would be like consecutive movies.
Well, yeah, being connected to each other. I mean, in the universe, yeah.
I mean, right, but not.
I don't think it's going to be a trilogy, like in terms of in being succession to each other.
Right, like this movie ends and then the next one picks up where it left off. I didn't think that's how they would do it. It's
like having a Star Trek movie and then having a Star Trek the Next Generation movie. You know, like Generations or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe a movie about each storyline, because I mean, we are having distinct pathways. Like I mentioned this in like last week, was like they're definitely keeping Fear in the past, a TWD in the present, let's say, quote unquote, and then the TWD3 in the future. So I think they're going to keep each one in their own lane.
Okay.
And then they're gonna like, even Gimple was saying, and I can put the video to that too. When Brandon Davis was actually interviewing Gimple, among other people on the red carpet when they're doing the Chinese theater premiere of TWD season 10, he had said that there are going to be ties. TWD3 is going to have ties to what happens in the movies. So you're gonna watch TWD3, and then later on you're gonna watch the movie and go, oh wait, there are some ties here. So they're gonna start playing with all 3 timelines, and they're going to be like little hints, just like we're seeing that Grace is pregnant. We're going to see that TWD3, that child is hers.
So could that, when they say, things connected to or related to, could that be something as simple as like location? Like maybe they're just in the same area?
Could be. My immediate thought was the kids are going to see a statue of Rick Grimes somewhere.
A statue?
Yeah, like in the comic books. Like there was no way you could have avoided that frame. And looking for images of Rick Grimes, like so.
Oh my god!
I can see that being the hint, and then they're going to see that as a result of the movies or something. Like I don't know. It was a silly thought that I was thinking to myself, "Who's that guy?" Like the kids would be like, well, he's obviously important enough to have a statue, like, or something.
Oh, that'd be so heartbreaking, though, that these kids don't know who Rick Grimes is.
Right? But that's how sheltered they are. I mean, the premise does seem like
that's true.
They lived in in these communities, and
it's like
the result.
It's like taking a group of kids from Alexandria and throwing them out into the wild.
Well, even
that
worse.
Have never been outside the walls.
Exactly. Worse than that. They've been sheltered and never had to deal with walkers. I think, and that's
or had a real life. Because they were born into this, right? That's the
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Into these settlements.
Right. Even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes you think about like Fear the Walking Dead and how comparing Morgan's group to Ginny's group. It's like, when you do things the right way, you have an awareness of the world and how it really works. But if you do things Ginny's way, you save all these people, you keep, you shoot the non-essential people, you keep the essential people, but the essential people are going to have kids. What, are you going to shoot the kids?
Right.
If they don't turn out the right way?
Yeah. Everybody's got a part to play. Just find it. Find where you fit in.
Yeah, and essential people will turn into non-essential people. So what are you going to do then?
Eventually, yeah, exactly.
Eventually or immediately. You never know. Some people lose their, you lose your digits, your fingers. It's like, okay, now I can't weld. Okay, goodbye. Boom. Like, right? It's a lot to think about. And so it takes you to like this TWD3 thing. And these are kids who obviously grow up in one of those settlements where, they're building the future, but they're not bringing up capable kids. What I like about this idea, though, is that you're harnessing the power of entering the apocalypse again for the first time. There's something so cool about like it's like watching a whole other series where they're discovering how the world works, what walkers are, or maybe they know about it but they never interacted with it before. I don't know.
It's going to be super, super interesting because I just keep going back to the idea that these kids were born into this, right? Like every show we've seen so far has been, normal civilization, the breakdown, people reacting to it, people having memories of, oh gosh, remember, Carol saying she misses her vibrator. People have things that they miss.
Right.
That's not going to happen on this show. There's not going to be anything to miss.
There's going to be so many cultural absences. Yeah. I mean, Judith has the luxury of having that education. So there's a little bit of that, but like Judith's probably the first person that we know of, RJ, Judith,
born into this.
Gracie.
Yeah. Gracie. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So
they are children of the apocalypse.
Yeah, with they're getting a formal education. Don't get me wrong. Oh, and Maggie's kid, I forget. What was the kid's name? Herschel. Right?
Herschel.
I know, I forgot. But yeah, I mean, they're getting an education, but like maybe these kids didn't get the same kind of education, like airplanes and all these things that don't exist anymore.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of community they're coming from.
They could call diarrhea water cocky for all we know.
They could.
Oh, is water coming out of your butt? Yeah, it's really bad.
Caught the water cocky.
Why is that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and we don't really know why they're leaving the community either, right? We haven't like if it fell or we have no idea why they're venturing out. If they're just little assholes going, we can make it on our own. I mean,
and
what if they're just little cocky kids like, I can do this.
Cocky.
Yeah, I mean, right?
No,
I mean, if they have no experience,
as kids do,
somebody, right. And especially teenagers, which I think that's going to be the general, like later teens.
They get more than when they bargain for or something.
Exactly. They're gonna have a big head and they're gonna think, okay, well, if other people could do it, I could do it. And I mean, maybe they sneak out or who knows? There's a lot of ideas.
yeah, exactly. And so and we're gonna figure that out. But I just love that there's gonna be more of these parallels and connections and evidence dropped here that has importance there, so on and so forth. And then with the movies and who knows if the TWD show is gonna have it probably will have some connections to any of this. But
sure,
it seems like I like the fact that it's on the margins too. Like, so you have the fear is connected to the movie and the movie is connected to TWD3. But so far, no real... I mean, obviously, TWD was the birth of all this, but so far, I don't have any connection. Other than Maggie leaving to be with Georgie, there's been no further connection.
True.
So now I'm excited to see the season, how that plays in. Yeah. I was going to be watching for it now, where the links are going to be. Everybody's theorizing that Michonne's going to leave the show because she hears Rick on the radio or something like that. I'm not convinced.
I don't think that'll be the reason.
Yeah, I don't think
if
so
she
either.
Hears, because we know that Michonne's leaving, but Judith and RJ are not. Correct?
Exactly.
Kaylee Fleming is staying on the show for sure.
We don't know. I mean, but
well, okay. I guess that's what I was asking. Do we know?
No.
Okay, so I suppose if with that information up in the air, if we know the kids are staying on the show, Michonne's not going to leave because she heard Rick. Because if that's the case, of course she's going to take the kids with her. Right?
Maybe it's too dangerous.
But she wouldn't know till it was already happening.
Unless she knows what it takes. So that's the gambit.
Suppose it depends on what he says over the radio too. I'm in a storage unit in a junkyard, locked up, or you know what I mean?
We're not even talking to her. Maybe just hearing him on the radio.
Talking, yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Somebody else.
I'm not assuming anything. The thing that really bugs me about this theory is that if he has the ability to speak on the radio, he would have done it way sooner.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something at which that he, I mean.
My theory is that Michonne is going to leave the show sort of how she did in the comic books.
Looking
and
for
that was
food,
to go
fish?
she went on a boat to fish. They went way out to sea to get big fish. So this was like, a month, months of fishing, or I don't know. I don't do that. I don't know if it's called something different when you have bigger fish on the line, but
like deep sea fishing.
Yeah,
something.
like catching sharks. I don't know.
Sharks.
But I think she might leave
Whale.
that way. She's going to leave to take care of people.
Right.
That's my theory. That's my theory.
Yeah, to help out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's why she wouldn't take the kids, because they're not going to be able to do what she's doing.
Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know what to expect. I think what bothers me is that everybody has an assumption, and it's like, so I almost like, I don't know who I'm more impressed by, like in the negative way. Like am I more impressed with the people who have comics knowledge, who have at least a basis of like how this is going to go down, but like there's so much divergence that could it be the same way? It
almost doesn't even matter. Yeah.
Right. Or am I more impressed with the people who don't have comic knowledge, who automatically assume certain things? Like, oh, he's going to hear Rick on the radio. I'm like, there's no basis for your argument. Like, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, but at the same time, that's too obvious. It's too obvious.
I really like hearing the theories from people who don't read the comics.
Yes, me too. That's why I said that. Yeah.
Yeah. They think of things that I would, like, I have that knowledge. And so I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense. This could happen. This makes sense to me.
Right.
But they other people don't have that knowledge. And so they come up with these crazy, wild ideas. And sometimes I'm like,
yeah,
you've got a point.
Yeah. You've got some, yeah, let's take some stones.
And we know from history that the show does not follow the comic books, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. That's what the tug of each theory is it's either, I think it just pisses me off because it's just more obvious than it should be. And I don't think obvious is what they're going for. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think there's going to be evidence, and I think she's going to follow that evidence wherever it goes.
So you do think that it'll be something involving Rick that gets her to leave?
See, I'm not even sure about that. That's what kills me. Everybody assumes that it's going to be because of that, and I'm not sure.
I don't think that, and here's why. At this point, Andy Lincoln is not coming back to the show, right?
Right. If
Michonne were to get a teaser that Rick's out there, I feel like that opens the door to bring him back on the show, which isn't going to happen.
Interesting. Yes, that's precisely why I think that, because it would leave it open for him to be, other people would know automatically that he's alive. Daryl, who has been looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes no sense. I mean, that's why the obvious thing isn't always the best thing. So what I do think is that if they don't bring Maggie this season, that could be the doorway. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and then, because the thing is that Maggie did write Jesus while she was with Georgie, right? Which is another reason why I'm not sure if she's the same person that's associated with Isabel's group or not, because she seems to have a rapport. It's the same relationship she had with Deanna, same relationship she had with Gregory in a way, but yeah, whatever. If Michonne is leaving to be with Georgie because of a letter from Maggie, that makes more sense to me. And that's the only thing I'll say. Like that, I'm not going to say I'm right about this. I'm not going to say I'm going to push this theory. But like, it just, like, other people are so confident they're posting that it's going to happen like this and that's that. Like, dude, that makes no sense. Like, what you and me just figured out right now makes no sense. Like, it can't be the radio. It opens the door too wide for other characters to be involved and have Rick be a name like, well, he's alive? What?
Right.
And
now,
I don't think
everybody's wondering and catching wind of that. Yeah.
I mean, unless they bring all these people into the movies. Yeah, I don't know.
So, I like the idea that Michonne would go with Georgie. Every time I come up with a theory of how she could leave the show, my second thought is, what about the kids? Is this a scenario where she could take off without her kids?
Right.
Because if she can't, if she could take the kids with her, then that's not what's going to happen.
And there's also a third thing that we're not saying, and that's she could die.
Yeah. Well, I'm not touching that.
We don't want to say that.
No
but that's
way.
a distinct possibility.
Yeah, it is.
And notice that nobody I know.
I haven't heard that theory at all.
Have said that. Nobody has said that. We kind of touched on it when we heard that she was going to leave the show, but we instantly went back to denial about that. We kind of tried to think our way around it because we don't want that. Nobody I know, nobody I've seen wants that. All the racists think we want that. Not to touch that third rail.
No, we're not even bringing it up because it's not on the table. It's not an option.
Although, I mean, I'm the kind of person who will bring that on the table because of we won't see it coming. We won't want it to come. We won't see it coming.
Yeah.
So there is that element of surprise.
At this point, if they can kill Carl, they can kill anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Carl, who's probably one of the few people that makes it in the comic book.
Yeah, he's still alive.
With Sophia.
Well, I mean, now it's over, but he made it. He made it.
That's what makes this show so great is that it can go anywhere from here because the two people, Sophia's kid and Carl, so there was no Sophia to have a relationship with a baby, right?
On the show?
Oh, no, in the comic book.
Yeah, Sophia's still alive in the comics.
Yeah, and has a kid with Carl. And I think the kid is called Andrea, right? After his stepmom.
Mom, yeah. Yeah.
So, and so that's what's so intriguing. So it could go any way that it wants to go, right?
It could, yeah. Yeah.
The only thing we haven't really touched at all in this episode is the wedding.
Oh, right. I know. I was so geeked for it last week too.
Right, and we all were geeked. I mean, it starts off with Charlie on an actual banjo. I thought it was like a guitar, but it was an actual banjo.
Yeah.
And she's playing the chords for "It's All Right" at the beginning, and it's rough, right? It's awkward.
But very real too. Yeah, I liked that she wasn't perfect at it.
It was a nice touch.
You almost expect that perfect, beautifully, but they didn't. They didn't do that.
Nah.
They were like, she's figuring it out. I like that.
We're building the future. Yeah, and then some other things I noticed too was that even though it was kind of it was like a secular wedding, you could see the Torah in the back propped up and opened up, which is interesting because it shows it's like the Ark of the not the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark where the Torah is kept. It's kind of like a makeshift ark. And you usually do that in instances where you're about to read from it or during special ceremonies, you open the ark and everybody stands up because it's holy or whatever. Is the idea of the presence of God, right? And the presence of God amongst the union of man and woman.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And
I'm not even going to lie. I definitely teared up when Dwight gave his rings.
Oh, man, that was a punch in the fucking throat.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, oh. And then he's like, when I find her, we're going to start over and I don't need him. I'm just like, bah.
That is true, though, isn't it, though?
It is, yeah.
He's so beautiful. Goddamn mature, man.
Right? He's got to find her.
He gets it. He really gets it.
He's got to find her. And
I'm
super sad it didn't happen before the end of the season, but I'm still holding out for 6. He's got to find her.
Yeah, it's again, what was this episode? Sneak peeks.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I mean, the whole season. I mean, basically the whole season was a big reminder of Sherry.
Yeah. I mean, the giving him the rings, the ring not fitting is perfect, John Dorie moment.
I love that too, right? See, not everything works out for this group.
Yeah, but you know what? You get what you need.
Yeah. Oh, it was so sweet.
Oh man, and what does he say? Is he uses some really mature ideas. When he was talking to Naomi. Oh my God, when he's talking to June.
Whoa.
When he was talking to June before on horseback and saying, I thought maybe. It could have been Sherry, it could have been just my brain, dehydration, or whatever. But it's the idea of and you see the scene, you go back to the scene in your mind. He hears it and he's like, fuck it. And then he throws it. He throws the walkie. Where does he throw it onto?
A mound. And
Whose
what
mound?
I have no idea.
Think about it.
Where was he?
Who was the guy who died?
Lots of people. Which
Tom.
one specifically?
Tom.
Oh, okay.
And what does Tom represent? Hope.
Okay.
Hope stashed, whatever.
Yeah.
But it had to have been right there that he did
Thank
that.
you for clarifying that, too, because I'm staring at this mound of dirt, and I'm like,
what is that?
That's so random. I expected Dwight to, like, start digging in it, and then he didn't. He just walked away, and I'm like, okay, you're going to need that walkie later, buddy. Yeah. You'll find some batteries somewhere. Why are you just throwing shit that you need? What's happening right now?
But it's just there's a poetry in everything that happens in this episode, and he even admits it to June also, like how I don't want it to be like when he looks at Tom's grave, or his mound, his burial mound. I think a lot of that plays into how he reacts in that scenario, like and what he decides to do from that point on. It's like it can't be like this. I can't use her as a bargaining chip. I can't keep repeating the same things. I got to do right. I got to do right. I got to build this future from the ground up. Like he says, in starting from scratch with Sherry, it's like we never really got a chance. We never had a chance to be us and married and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I that's why I love that scene. It was like him saying, like his form of commitment to his ethos, his newfound philosophy, is him giving up like his past, or giving up the ties of his past, and then allowing, like Alicia painting trees. Do you remember what I said? It was like she had to kind of tear herself down to build herself back up to be this more complete person, right? And she acknowledges that, takes the sword back, and becomes all of it. Dwight's doing the same thing. He's tearing himself completely down, letting go of the things that remind him of what he lost. Yeah. To remind him that now I can gain things. Now I can be a better version of myself for her to be ready for me, to be ready for us.
Yeah.
And I think
and they'll be starting over the relationship too.
I think it's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. He's gotta find her. He has to. He just has to.
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that whatever they decide to do with that whole scenario could be very interesting, because I think there's a tendency for Fear to kind of go on this tangent of hope. I mean, aside from this episode and the last episode, there's like this tinge of hope that runs throughout this season, and success and all that stuff. I don't know. These zombie apocalypse shows, they don't turn out the way you quite expect them to. And so that's the thing about, he may be on the path of righteousness or whatever it's going to be, but she may not be.
You know what, I kind of had a thought when you're talking about, hope and like building things up, and then and they have a tendency to do this, right? Like it immediately reminded me of this, the entire season when they're looking for Sophia, and where did she end up?
In the barn.
What if that's our lead up to finding Sherry?
In the same manner?
Yeah. What
She's
if we
a walker?
What if we find Walker Sherry?
Yeah, that's compelling. What are the consequences of that?
And what's that gonna do to Dwight's brain?
I don't know. I know that he would have had the answer all along. Because if he's doing it for Sherry, that's different. But I have a feeling he's not doing it for Sherry. At least that's not what he said initially. Like, I know I can't make up for things. And he's ready. If the fact that he's ready to let go of those rings means he's doing it for himself, but he wants to be the man. He wants to be the man before he can be with Sherry. So I think there's, doing it for the right reasons. So, but it's compelling because even like Ginny offering Sherry on a silver platter means, oh, you get to stop being you, this new you. Come on over to the dark side. He won't do it because he's been through that,
And he knows it would be the exact same situation. I mean, Sherry's not going to be Ginny's wife. A little bit different, but basically the same, And that's what he's screaming about at the river too, I've been on the other side of people who don't believe in the same things that you do, And it doesn't end well, and it's not gonna end well.
Yeah, there's a line here, and this kind of goes hand in hand with this Dwight thing, building yourself, tearing things down to build them back up again. Better, right? And I brought this line up last week or the week before, this expression called Tikkun Olam. I knew he was going to bring it up. Tikkun Olam. Now he says what this is. He said in the vows, he says, Rabbi Kessner says, it's a broken world, but each union sees a little piece of everything set right. And so, and he goes, it's Tikkun Olam. And he says it's the rebuilding of the world or something like that. And Tikkun Olam is an interesting concept in Judaism. Tikkun Olam means like, it literally means that you do things to make the entire world better. You know what I mean? Even if it's a little thing. When you act in the universe, when you act in the world, are you building the world up or are you tearing it down? You know? So you do little things. Like even little things like helping someone. That's the quintessential Tikkun Olam. When you help someone, that's you are making the entire world a better place. One person.
Sure.
You know?
Could have a chain reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
You did something nice for them, and then they do something nice for that person, and so on and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
If we all did that, we'd all be nice to each other.
Yeah, I mean, but even like that's like the simplest way, or like, and sometimes it's less complicated than that, but sometimes it's just like building, I don't know, like a garbage, like leaving a garbage can out so somebody could throw something out. That's Tikkun Olam also. Your actions and your thoughts on how to, even from simple to really complicated, it doesn't have to be getting on an airplane and saving somebody in a far off land. It could be something simple, local. You know, leave some supplies out, whatever, in the zombie apocalypse. That's Tikkun Olam. So I just love that they finally actually brought out the concept, because I brought it up and I put it in the notes.
That's cool.
And now it's said, and I just think he said it was the repairing of the world. I said no, it's not. Tikkun Olam is to litaken is to fix, but it doesn't literally. The world, I mean, if you think about it, it's like a lot like a Blade Runner. Blade Runner has this concept of kipple, right? Like where kipple's kind of like trash, but it's not just trash. It's kind of like entropy, you know, like things break down and trash piles up and dust collects. That's life. It's our job to kind of make sure the dust is swept up, the trash is picked up, the plastics are recycled. That's the conflict of the universe. Tikkun Olam is fighting against entropy, really. It's like fixing the world by making it right again, then doing things to kind of engender like a better world, you know? Sorry. I need to spend more time on this concept.
I totally get it. I totally get it. We have these things all over town. Some people put up filing cabinets. Some of them are like just little boxes, and it kind of reminds me of the, you know, take what you need, leave what you don't kind of thing, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. People will put in, you know, winter hats, gloves, scarves. They'll even put, you know, pet food in there, canned goods, dry goods. People just fill these things with, you know, stuff that people need, and whoever needs it comes and gets it, and that's it. They just come and get it.
Yeah.
And we have, at least that I know of, there's at least 6 or 7 of them around my town.
Are these like little drop points of things that people can pick things up from?
Yep.
Are these like centers, or are they just like curbs or something like that?
No, it's literally just like one of them is out front of my friend's business.
Oh, okay.
Like just on the sidewalk. And it's just this little, it's like a cabinet. You walk up, you swing the door open, and there's shelves that are full of stuff.
Like a metal filing cabinet?
Well, this one is a literal shelf with a door, but there's another one that is a filing cabinet. Yeah, it's like four drawers of a filing cabinet. You pull the drawers out, and it's full of whatever you need.
Of stuffs. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's Tikkun Olam right there. So there's another thing that I have to kind of go through.
Uh-oh.
So they did so wait, before they broke the glass, they saw the light kind of come in shafts, right? Yep. And they kind of like were like, oh, that's Ner Tamid.
That was beautiful.
I can't remember which came first though. Like, did he break the glass and then they saw it, or did they see it and then they broke the glass? Like, and I think it
was the glass and then the beams of light, because as they're soaking in the sun is when they hear the
in the distance
approach.
Yeah because that's the light of it. So according to the narrative, it's the light of truth, quote unquote.
I thought it was the eternal.
That's
flame.
what I
okay.
know. So I think it's the
okay.
everlasting flame, right?
Yes,
which means like the ever presence of God. So yeah, the omnipresence of God. And then there's the way they laid it out was that the light of truth, right?
Okay.
And then just as the light comes down, the truth is that Ginny is arriving, which is kind of, there's a little bit of like a mercy, but then there's also like a kind of like there's a hard truth that you have to face now, but here's like some comfort in that weird, like a recognition of some kind. But then breaking the glass is a very interesting concept as well. Like not a lot of people know why we do that, why Jews do that. So let me break it down and you'll see the significance as I do it, right?
It was explained to me once before, but I don't remember the specifics.
So we do that.
My cousin's wife is Jewish,
okay.
So their wedding was very traditional.
Tell me if this rings a bell. So Jews do this in such a happy, special, like beautiful occasion, this union of man and wife and all that. And they do this as a sign of like a brief sign of mourning for the second temple. Now you tell me how that ties into this episode. Like they're mourning the second temple. So what happened with the Jews is obviously they had first and second holy temple, like where they provide offerings. This is the ultimate place of residence for how they react to God and how they are able to serve God, right? And then we lose it. Okay. We lose it twice, not only once but twice. But it was such a watershed, terrible, horrible moment that it etched into the culture of Judaism forever, you know? And so we take a moment in this happy, special union to kind of remember the fall of the second temple and all the baggage that came along with it. And then, but
that's really beautiful.
Yeah,
that is definitely not the explanation I got.
No, see, yeah, a lot of people give the right explanation. But yeah, go ahead.
No.
Well, what did you hear?
I honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember. Like I said, this was my cousin's been married. I don't know, a long time. I was much younger when I attended the wedding. I don't remember what was told to me, but it definitely wasn't that. I would have remembered that. Yeah, because that's really beautiful. I mean, and especially to take, such a beautiful moment, a wedding, right, a union, and then say, oh, hold up, we're gonna, we need to remember some things first. Let's celebrate, but also remember. It
takes 1 second too, and the reason why it's like so cool is that there's something to that. There's like something to this bittersweet moment, like let's remember what we did here, and we'll break the glass in remembrance of that thing that we tried to build, that temple that we tried to build, that place. Humbug's Gulch is the second temple. I mean,
literally, it's the second Humbug's Gulch too.
Yeah, there was so the first temple was the Dem factory.
Well, there've been a lot of temples. But it's funny that there was specific two gulches too.
Yeah, that's true. And there's two gulches. There's the Diamond also, which you could consider like one of them. And then that was the fall of the first temple, and the mill, which was the second temple, and then the first
losing the second gulch.
The first gulch I don't think they even.
They didn't really try to hang out there now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny how they found Dwight there as a consequence of that.
Yeah.
So I guess Humbug, the original Humbug's Gulch is the first temple, or the third temple. Sorry, that's kind of interesting. You hardly met us, Humbug's Gulch. So I just thought that's something to kind of tie together here, like but like more of a symbolic thing, like we will always remember. Like what Morgan says is we will always they can and it follows Jewish histories that they're literally. So another thing people do not know about the first and or second temples is that there were two diasporas. When the first temple fell, I think it was 10 of the 12 tribes were strewn across the world. That's our history.
Wow.
So you have 10 tribes we know nothing about. There are people walking on this earth that do not know they're part of the 10 tribes.
Wow.
And the second temple that was the second diaspora, which is they took all the Judean tribe and they spread them across the world. And so the same thing happens at the end of this episode. You have tribes these specific tribes of people, Charlie and Daniel separated, John and June separated. And it's just when you think about these parallels, when you think about the Second Temple, you think about the idea of breaking the glass, I'm glad that they did it.
Wow.
But it really kind of brings the point home.
I wouldn't have known any of that.
Pays to have a Jew in showbiz.
Wild. Right? That's right.
Well, a semi.
Well, we know who's right in the show.
with a semi-religious background, yeah. Chambliss and Goldberg, yeah. How about that? I'm sure some anti-Semitic dudes are like, hey, Jews. Now I know what the deal is and why it's so shitty. Read the story between the lines, son.
Right.
Read between the lines.
So do they? So after the ceremony, the breaking of the glass, and after the ceremony, and everything, do they keep those pieces? Or is it like something that you hold on to?
No, it's not. And immediately after you break the glass, everybody like shouts, roars with like joy and singing and song and dancing. So it's that one moment where they just go pop, and then they just go, they move on.
It's like the moment of silence.
Yeah, they don't dwell on it either. It's like they have the last blessing, and then the words are, so the words right before you break the glass is, if I forget Jerusalem, it's like I forget my right hand, my familiar, you know?
Okay.
So I'll lose my ability to speak. I should not forget about Jerusalem, even in the height of my joy, you know, like.
Okay, yeah.
And then you break the glass and then you keep going. Yeah, it should be familiar. Like, it's like this idea of, like, let's not forget the Second Temple. It's like forgetting how to speak. It's like forgetting how to use your familiar hand.
Right.
You know, it's like
it
ingrained.
should always be there. It should just be second nature. Yeah. That's kind of sad to think, though, that like what you had said earlier, like a lot of people don't remember that. Like they don't remember that that's why they do that. That's sad.
It is kind of sad. I went to like I heard about a wedding that, or I don't know, maybe I attended one, but like they tried to explain it differently. And I was kind of like, you shouldn't forget that there are people in this world that don't find each other. And I'm like, man, I just started like shaking my head.
You're slaughtering this.
But I mean, like, I'm not trying to like be weird about this, but like somebody tried to like explain that there are people in this world who are being oppressed, and like, I mean, like, I get it. You want to give this a new coat of paint, like. Anyway, so that kind of explains the whole glass breaking thing and how it ties into the episode, literally diaspora. And
I know, and I mean, gosh, so many meanings on so many different levels, and just
I think that's what helped me like ground myself to this episode, because this episode, it just looked like they had the solution, then they lost it. It slipped through their fingers. They had the solution, then they lost it again, and then they just kind of like, and with the idea of the wedding itself was kind of like Morgan said, is like, you know what, if we're gonna give up, we're gonna do it saying what we said we would do. You know, originally we're gonna do it. We're gonna live. You know, or we're gonna do right. We're gonna live. We're gonna,
even if it's just for today.
Yeah, even if it's just for this moment, this 1 hour, or whatever it's gonna be. Yep. And so I liked that. I did all of that grounded me. The wedding actually grounded me to this episode entirely, because without it, it would have been such a bad episode. To be honest, like you'd think that the wedding was out of place, but it was literally the hub and the spokes that were this episode. Like, without it, this episode would have been just would have been a waste, to be honest.
Yeah. Because
there's nothing that connects you to anything else that happens in this episode until you realize, okay, this is what we were fighting for. And then Grace being pregnant is all.
Yeah.
And saying she loves Morgan loves her, sort of, in their own way.
Looking back on the episode, if the wedding wasn't there, I feel like a lot of things would have just been like sort of fumbled together. But with the wedding there, all these things had purpose and a reason for our groups getting split apart, and gives you a different insight into what we just watched.
Yeah,
I feel different about it now, having this information.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's the thing. That's what really got me. Having this port in the storm, even just as on its face, even having this port in the storm was what it was all about. And then you take that, and then when Morgan says, "Oh, we were right all along," You know, Grace being pregnant was me being right all along. Having the wedding was them being right all along. Like, do they even have these things in Ginny settlements?
Right.
You know, because people can't get together, I guess, to make tribes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like it's too controlled of an environment. I mean, do people even have relationships? Do people, she thought, how far into the future has she thought?
Exactly.
She's really only thinking about tomorrow, right?
Yeah, just tomorrow. Not
just
literally,
tomorrow.
not like the figurative tomorrow.
Right, literally tomorrow.
Exactly. Adios yesterday, hello tomorrow. And then like, she's like, oh, that fucking bitch.
I'm excited to see what's going on in these camps.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the bowling lanes.
Yeah, me too. Like, what is that whole... I really
what are
curious
you
to see
doing
what they're all
in there?
about. Think about it. Like, this whole season was almost like a setup, like a foundation upon which to ground you for the next season.
Yeah.
Characters are going to be tried and how they're going to be challenged and stuff like that with a more complete self, maybe.
Yeah. I feel like every good big series has sort of their slower down seasons. And I mean, everything with Madison in it was a down season for me.
Season 7.
But since the show got good, aka after Madison dies,
shots fired.
I feel like this might have been sort of the slower season for me. In the grand scheme of things, I think we're going to look back and say, okay, 5 was kind of the lower point.
Yeah, but we may even look back at the season and be like, this is the season that set us up for like these other 3 seasons. Like, if not for this,
could be too.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it could be one of those
turning
things.
point.
Because like it's kind of goes back to what we initially brought up at the beginning of the episode about Netflix and binging and all that stuff and how differently we watch TV. This could be one of those seasons that changed everything for people watching modern television. It could be. I mean, because when you watch all these episodes in a row, it's got to be way different than waiting for the next week, right?
Absolutely.
You could make the argument that maybe Fear was designed or maybe cut up in a way that we would watch television today rather than yesterday. Like, obviously the breaks have dramatic pauses and you know, every one of them is like a reveal. There's like a significance to each segment for the episode. But I mean, if you take it all together though, and you like watch it all, it's like a big movie. Like they went on a plane to this place, saved some kids, saved a woman who happened to work in a nuclear power plant, who in the end of the day fell in love with Morgan, and Morgan fell in love with her, and then they have a kid, and that kid goes off to the future.
Yep.
That's kind of cool if you look at it that way. That's
kind of how I see, you know, a series in general, or not a series, but each season of a series
has a theme,
is its own little movie.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a beginning, like a middle, and an end.
Like, remember how shows used to be like these one-offs? Like every episode was on a one-off? Like Star Trek? You solve the problem in one episode, or maybe to be continued. Well,
a lot of the shows that I go back and rewatch are like that. You know, Scrubs, Bones, Criminal. They are one-offs. Like there might be one constant through an entire season, but that's it. They're only going to be there the one season.
Right. Star Trek Discovery, not like that at all. Like
no.
Every season, it's kind of like modern television. Every season is a playthrough of a theme. Yeah, and then the next season will also have references back to the first season, and it just continues. Like the universe continues. That too. So I mean, and it would be almost strange to have like a sitcom, like a situation comedy, in this day and age. That's why they don't work, by the way. When John Mulaney had his series and like they released a couple episodes, it was garbage.
Yeah.
It was garbage.
Sitcoms really only work anymore if they're cartoons.
Yeah, which is why Big Mouth works.
Exactly.
Which I recommend also.
If that show was done with real people, wouldn't work.
No, not at all. And there's still some continuity to it, but like they are kind of situational. Like some things get resolved, some things have to get pushed. Some things will never get resolved, and that's what also makes it funny too. You
don't really see a lot of moral lessons in these shows anymore either,
Yeah. Especially in the zombie apocalypse. But like they're starting to emerge now. Like we find that we need to have some meaning. There has to be something.
Yep. Well, and I like that Fear and Walking Dead does do that, right? Maybe not in each episode, but there's a general moral you know, even if it's a season long or stretched over a few episodes. Like, in general, it's usually hope, family, unity, things like that. But
yeah. And sometimes morality isn't always the answer too. Like anti-morality butts against morality, and sometimes morality does not win. So like maybe Morgan, it doesn't win with Morgan. Like maybe Morgan was the Moses of this project. Maybe he was meant to lead them into the promised land.
Oh, and he did,
but not take part in it. So. We don't know.
See, and we're not going to have, you know, one constant leader for this group either, because everybody's so separated, right? So it's not like one person's going to be able to rally everybody together and say, come on, guys, let's fight back and get out of this situation. You know,
which is why Ginny did what she did, too.
Sure. Oh,
he seemed to have been the mouthpiece or something.
Mm-hmm. So if Morgan does survive, what's his role going to be? How is he going to, what is he going to play? How is he going to,
movies.
You know, with everybody spread out, how is he going to rally everyone?
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I'm too stuck on the idea that I have to operate based on the principles the show gives me. So, like, let's say if I'm supposed to assume that he's going to die, I can't automatically assume, like, in the first episode that he's going to be there. You're like, that we're going to, I think they're not going to go, they're probably going to get, if he is alive, we're not even going to think about knowing that until, like, the mid-season. That's how I feel.
If they kill him off, I hope we see it right away.
Or that we know about it at least. Like, you want to see him die. That's the thing.
I do. I have to see him die. I have to. If I don't see it, it didn't happen.
Right. It is kind of like leaving off. It's where we get leaving off on a good or bad note. Mm-hmm. Like, a good note is a note that has finality. A bad note is that it's not necessarily a bad note. It just doesn't have a completion to it.
Right.
I have a song like that. I have a song like that where I end off and, like, what it's supposed to be the next note, but I leave it at the chord right before that. And it annoys the hell out of musicians, but it annoys the hell out of people too, and they don't know why. But that's kind of like what the song is about, though.
Because it's not finished.
Right. It's all about it doesn't matter. The song is about it doesn't matter what you do. You could
of course it would end that way.
Yeah. And it literally ends. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. And then there's supposed to be something after that with a note after that. That's it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Breaking the cycle by not completing the circle. So anyway, so the whole point is that we're not supposed to know. And I don't know. We have to give it the Madison treatment in the end of the day. It's kind of, you have to operate based on the premise, but having fun with the edge of the knife, that could be his survival. So we don't know. We're not going to know.
I don't like the idea of two mystery people wandering out there wondering if they're, I mean, I'm convinced that Madison's dead, but I know a lot of people are not, and I will admit, I mean, it's possible. Of course it's possible. We didn't see it, so it's possible.
There's like a sliver of not even a sliver. There's like enough of a lane for somebody to walk through that possibility, right? The door is open. If she showed back up on the show, I'd be like, well, all right. Yeah. And Morgan, you know what? I almost would say that Morgan has a little bit less of an open door almost. Because Madison wasn't shot. She was not debilitated. True. So, I mean, each one has their pluses and minuses.
I was going to say, I suppose you could kind of level the playing field that way. I mean, Madison had hundreds of walkers coming after her on fire. He doesn't have as many, but he's in a more dire situation for himself. So.
An immediate, hamstrung kind of handicapped kind of way. Yeah,
I still think
he's bleeding profusely.
He can get out of it.
That's what really got me.
That was a lot of blood.
Yeah,
that was a lot of blood.
That's what really got me. That's what made me start to like hesitate.
This was the first time during an episode I could see the blood pack. Did you notice? Yeah, as he was bleeding, some of it leaked out, and you could see the outline of the square.
Oh, really? I was
also looking for it, though. I was looking for it. So I
was too busy looking at the streams and streams of blood, like the river of blood.
Well, that's what made me start looking for it. Is I'm like, that's a lot of blood. How big is that pack?
Yeah. I thought it was they were using a hose, and it would make more sense to me.
It seemed like he kind of had his one arm behind him, right? Like he could have been squeezing a pump to like, bleh, 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 you know?
That's cool, man. That really is cool.
I've seen him do that too, you know, like the blood pressure pumps, and it's like, yeah.
Spider Morgan. He comes with shoulder cannons. You know, I don't die, so here you go in the eye.
Oh my god!
Like, you know,
I'm gonna be quiet. Everybody in my house is asleep now. I gotta be quiet.
As well, we should be.
Oh my god!
You know what? You know what it is, and I'm gonna say this before we go. It's like it's hard to say goodbye to this episode because of, again, like the sneak peeky feel of this episode. How it leads us almost hand in hand to the next season. Like there is a sense of like a cliffhanger, but there's also a sense of so many sneak peeks into this next season that how could you not?
I still feel a connection to the next season.
Yeah. Like there's like there's continuity to it. That's very smart. That's very smart. I mean, again, there are things about this episode that kind of feel like, I mean, if it wasn't for that wedding and how they like put the right elements in that wedding, that this whole episode would have been kind of just way all over the place. But like when you look at the hubs and spokes of a wheel, I mean, if not for that hub right there, like it just would be, it would all cave in on itself. It just be too up and down. What's the point of them hurting the walkers if at the end of the episode it's all going to turn to shit anyway? But then there's that one port in the storm and it just kind of all fits somehow.
It kind of makes sense that in the last episode we would continually see them fail though, right? Because all we've seen the whole season is them succeed. Yeah. So now we see them falling over and over and over again, and that's essentially how they end. Yeah, and your luck's done run up.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even just the luck. It's just like what we said at the beginning of the episode. It's kind of like that one moment where they didn't see possibility. That one moment where they gave in to their worst fears is when it was just a cascade effect. Like anything you do from that point, it's just you make the first mistake and it just tumbles down. You know, not their fault. I mean, but it's just kind of like in the movies when it's like as soon as you have sex, you're on the chopping block. You know? Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
If you have sex, you will die.
Yeah, like the Jason movies and all that
much.
stuff. Nightmare on Elm Street and it's kind of like that. It's kind of why I saw Morgan, like at his end. Like, you admit feelings. Right? It's it. You lost your powers of living.
That's why we feel that way too, isn't it? Because of these 80s slashers films.
Yeah.
As soon as you're in love, you're dead. So, and to this day, I'm like, nope, don't fall in love. You're gonna die.
Yeah. Like why I brought up Daryl. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I totally agree with that too. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this season of Fear the Walking Dead may not have been everything everybody hoped it would be, but I think, look, I enjoyed it. I will say flat out, I enjoyed it a lot. I love how they are. If not for, they make the connections like, if not for this wouldn't happen. If not for this wouldn't have happened. Not for what happened last season, this wouldn't have happened. You know, there's a lot of, you got to give them credit for tying everything together the way that they did. Like even execution, I kind of liked. Look, would I have liked to have more action? Of course. Like, of course I would. But I don't necessarily watch it for the action. I watch it for story. That's just me. You know, I follow the story. If it's a good story, I'll read it. It doesn't have to be zombie apocalypse survival completely, but
too much action would get boring too, right? I mean, like, oh, here we go again, killing more walkers. Like that runs its course eventually.
Yeah, that beginning of season 7 wasn't great. It's not great to have a heart attack the first 2 episodes. Not great. That was the worst on my body. Like literally, I was like a cat on a hot tin roof, like BPMs like at 170 over 20.
I was in a theater. I watched 701 on a movie screen.
You poor thing. You did not have the luxury of privacy.
Nope. I didn't care. Are you kidding? I cried like a baby. I didn't care who was looking at me. Not at all. I'm think I screamed a couple of times even.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I was at home.
Nope, I was in a theater full of people. Screamed.
Oh, man.
Like the white girl I am.
I don't think it's limited to race. I think everybody has that moment.
Oh, man. And there was a kid. There was a small child sitting like 3 chairs away from me. And I'm like, looking at this mom like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, what is this kid watching?
And she was all dressed up like Carl, too. It was kind of cute, but
it's also kind of like, really?
What?
Really, Mom?
Yeah.
Really? How young was the kid?
Gosh, probably, well, this was like 3 years ago. Probably 10 or 11.
Uh-huh. How old's Silas?
He's 10.
Okay. So, but you wouldn't bring him, I guess? No, right? It's too young for this or what?
I probably would.
Well, then, you just saw your future.
My kid. I know, right? But 3 years ago, my kid was not that old, and I wouldn't have taken him at that age.
Okay. That's a good point.
I probably now would.
Yikes.
But I know my kid, and I know what he can handle, which I'm sure this parent did too. They wouldn't have been there if they didn't.
We just healed a wound that you'd given to somebody in your mind.
Well, I was shocked, and then I felt bad that the kid was watching this. But my kid knows all about effects, makeup, and fake things and theatrics, and I mean, he knows it's all fake. We talk about it all the time. So
yeah, that's great.
It wouldn't be traumatizing at all.
That's great, though. See, it's good to kind of see the whole circle come around.
Yeah.
Let's just call it, and
right.
We will. I mean, look, this is a pre-recorded show, so please leave a like and a comment. I know there's tons of questions you might have. If you leave comments to this episode, first of all, if you're doing this, do this from YouTube, do this from Facebook, do this from Mixer and Twitch. Do it from any of these. Just leave a comment, a like, and then the more comments you leave, the more we'll be able to talk about it later, maybe. Because the idea of us reformatting the show is going to involve a lot of that. We're going to probably give us our take, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a couple of live people who will, contribute to the show and stuff like that. That'll be there at the time to be able to comment and chat. But more than anything is that we're going to need your comments so that we can really, really interact with you guys in the second show. We're planning on doing these second shows where, it's basically going to be a reaction show, like addressing your questions and concerns and any and all of that, and where you will be a part of the conversation after having asked your questions. So as we go, we're going to probably fine-tune things. We're going to ask you how this format works for you, and we'll see how it goes. And so with that, I thank you, Rachael, for joining me on this journey, this pre-recorded
Of course.
journey. And probably the only show we've gone 3 hours and 38 minutes on ever, I think.
Holy crap.
This is a record.
It feels like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go to sleep pretty fast tonight.
Yeah, I need a little TV watch before I do. But yeah, I think so. Thank you. And then, thank you for listening and watching. And please leave a rating on your podcast provider when this eventually goes out to audio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. Those are the two I know of, and those are the two that are in the giveaway, which I forgot to mention.
Oh,
that's going to be gone. That's like the last week.
Got one more week.
Get your licks in before it's too late. Soup's on. Get your shout outs.
No sauce on the side, though.
Yeah. This is in the soup kitchen. So we'll be seeing you soon for the TWD season 10 premiere, and we'll be changing our banners, our website colors, our episode graphics. We've got some really cool things in store for you.
My gosh. I'm so excited.
She's seen some of it, so she knows what's in store.
I'm so excited. People are gonna love it. I love it.
The fever, it's coming to a fever pitch, and we cannot wait to cover it. We're gonna be watching next week on AMC Premiere, and then pre-recording another show. But you're gonna want to know everything about it. And see you soon. Take care and good night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. You saw me about to do. Bye.
Good evening.
Good day to you. Goodbye, Fear the Walking Dead season 5.
Goodbye.
We'll miss you.
Oh, that just got extra sad, man.
I know.
Aw, you took it to a whole nother sad level.
I know, because it is kind of sad.
It is.
Well, farewell to you, season 5.
Bye.
Bye.